I don't know.
And I'll add you in whether you're coming or not.
Oh, I'll be coming.
She be coming.
She'll be coming around the mountain.
When she comes.
Okay. Hey, guys. You see what I have to work with? You see what I have to deal with?
You're welcome.
What was that? You're welcome. Your Trump impression is crazy.
Do a Trump impression. You're welcome.
You have to do the hands. It's this.
It's gonna be great.
Did you hear that him and Elon broke up? Have you seen Elon crashing out on Twitter?
Yeah.
It's gotten me through my day. It has gotten me through my fucking day. Okay. Anyway, so the breakup that's shattering Pride Month aside. Hey guys, welcome to the Batshit Crazy podcast.
Where we just don't give a shit.
It only took us 3 minutes to get through that. Let that be known.
What'd you say?
I said it only took us 3 minutes to get through that. Let that be known.
That's not bad. It's not bad. It was like
it was 20 that one time.
Yeah.
Anyways, I didn't realize I accidentally matched my light to you.
Look at us go. Coordination. So, grab a drink, grab a snack. We're doing a Q&A. Speaking of snacks, what do you got today?
Well, Kawi Shifts. That's her government name, if you don't know. Shifts is her legal last name, and 111 is also there. I have a protein shake.
It's like Junior. Sorry.
My dad's a third. That's what that is. You're a third.
See, I'm just a 111. What do you want from me?
What do you want
Go ahead
from
and show me your drink. Happy Pride.
I have a protein shake. I can't get over you going like this. By the way, because this is going up in June, happy Pride Month to the gays.
Happy Pride. I can do that. I'm with a man, but I can do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is a queer-run podcast. This is a small family business run by queers. So in addition to my protein shake, I told my actual wife the other day that I was like, Carly's basically my platonic wife, and she was like, there's no one I'd rather.
Oh. Tell our wife I love her.
Okay, cool. You're our third. It's not Catherine Hahn, it's you. In addition to my protein shake, I have an off-brand fruit and grain bar that is strawberry flavored. I eat it because it's high in vitamin A.
Yum.
I'm trying to recover.
Fruit and grain bar.
Well, just to spice it up, this is my fiber brownie.
Careful, Mimo.
Excuse me, I am trying to recover from an eating disorder and be better.
You can't leave that in. They're gonna think I'm horrible.
We say that like you don't also have an eating disorder. You have the
same one. The same. Kid.
I'll cut out the eating disorder part so no one hates you.
Well, I mean, if we added that I have the same one, it's fine.
Don't worry. Best friends have matching eating disorders.
Ting.
So yeah, I'm in recovery. So excuse my stupid snacks, my fruit bar and my fiber brownie, because I'm waiting until after we finish filming to eat actual food, because I'm trying to be better about my protein, so I have a big hunk of shrimp in the fridge. So I'm just gonna eat a bunch of cocktail shrimp at like 2 a.m. when we're done filming, because I'm a real woman.
That's dainty of you. I love that.
Well, first my snacks are too dainty and me-mallish, and now they're too pea-polish for you. I'm sorry that I'm not the fancy man you're in love with.
May I have some more? I have knockoff Funyuns. Lilith called them no Funyuns. And Bunch of Crunch, and then also I got some Go-Gurt. And some water. And that's how we're rolling tonight.
My snacks made me
Leave it in the comments down below.
My snacks may be Meemaw, but your snacks are giving poor, so I don't want to hear a word out of you.
You're not wrong.
Speaking of poor, you guys should go sub to her Patreon. She's been demonetized.
I'm calling the police right now. You know what? Here's the thing with all of this. Yes, I was demonetized. Thank you, YouTube. The day before, you did a reading for me, and it was talking about me being frustrated, and the cards were calling me broken. We're like, oh my god, haha.
Like 3 different cards said you had financial struggles.
But the thing is, the last time that happened, something happened financially that was like, well, fuck me sideways, I guess. And then this happened the next day. I'm like, demonetized. And also, the money that I was supposed to get, which I was so excited about, it's gone. It's gone back to the big corporation.
Yeah, so this is the part of the podcast when I tell you that you should go find her social media in the description and sub to her Patreon, and you should order a custom subliminal from her and tarot readings from her, because I'll be damned if my girl gets a real job. I don't want that for her.
That would be a nightmare. This has become a stim now. I need to stop.
It's okay, when I do my Nosferatu impressions, I do Trump hands, so it's like, Eleanor, your husband is gay. Like,
but if I'm like this, I'm gonna get canceled. I voted blue, thank you very much. Okay? So yeah, I do have a Patreon now if you want to support that. I would love it. I do make personal subliminals, I do tarot readings. Willits also does tarot readings. That is where I get my tarot readings done. Yeah, anyways, Q&A time. Hello and welcome. You ready?
I'm scared because originally I sent her a bunch of screenshots for these and we were gonna read them back and forth, but now she has claimed job as curator, which, if I do say so myself, as your autistic big sister, the autistic little sister calling the shots and telling me how we're gonna play the game and telling me my lines after she says her lines is exactly how we grew up in 2 of my DRs, and I know that's what's about to happen.
I felt like I was being scolded. Question number 1. Okay, so this says, and of course this has to be number 1. I'm surprised by how much Lilith has taken breaks. No shade at all, but I am obsessed and practically try every day and don't feel the need for major breaks. Carly seems to fall in my camp, so I'm curious to compare. What are the number of times you both have actively tried to shift over the years?
I have depression.
Me as well. Me as well.
And sometimes depression means you don't try to shift, because it's either try to shift or die. I chose to not die.
Very fair.
And I did not count how many times I tried to shift between 2020 and like, I'd say 2023. Yeah, because I found shifting in September of 2020, and in between that and then like July of 2023 when I mini shifted for the first time, I'm not kidding when I say probably thousands of times, because I was trying every single night for several months. I was taking shifting naps during the day. Sometimes I was shifting napping twice a day. I'd say over 1,000 times between 2020 and 2023. And then after doing that for so long, and then I got that like little confirmation of like, yeah, shifting is real. You just experienced it. My brain went, you're going to stop now or we're going to shut down. But something that I don't think Carly realizes is how little I've tried to shift since that very first time. And I'm actually able to count this on 2 hands, I'm pretty sure. Because I didn't try to shift for about 8 or 10 months. And I tried to shift again, like 8 or 10 months later. And then I had my second mini shift. There was one shift in between those 2 that were 2 weeks away from being exactly a year apart. And then I did not try to shift again for like 6 months, which was in December of last year, where I tried to shift, I believe, twice. I opened my eyes the second time, and then I'd say, barring that there's probably a couple of times, like I'd say 3 that I can't think of off the top of my head that I know I probably did. And then I tried to shift to my Salem DR, I believe, twice. And the second one, I did mini shift to that DR. And then I think I've tried to shift twice since then. So I mean it so sincerely when I say in the last almost 2 years, I think I've tried to shift like 11 times.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you brought up how depression kind of made you like have to hold on to your CR more. The way that my brain works with my depression, I will still try and shift even if I'm not fully in it. And like I'll think that I'm in it, but then a couple months later I'll reflect and realize, oh, okay, I was just doing it to kind of do it. So I found out about shifting. I have the number pulled up. I found out about shifting 988 days ago. I rarely ever take breaks. I think 40 or 50 days out of those 988 I haven't tried to shift. And most of those days, especially early on, I was trying to shift more than once. Because I would take naps during the day, like when my son was still napping, and I would try and shift then. And then my son, when he was really little, would still wake up multiple times in the night. He still wakes up like once most nights. But he's always been not great with sleeping, so when I first found shifting, I was still waking up like 4 or 5 times in the middle of the night, and then trying to shift most of the times that I went back to bed. So well over 1,000, for sure. But again, I wasn't always fully in it. So yeah, that's my answer. Number 2, will you ever stop shifting? No.
No.
I don't. We've talked about this before, off camera, obviously. I don't understand it, personally. I really don't. I know that some people can have things happen, but it's like, I don't want to get canceled on question 2. I really don't want to get canceled.
Yeah, the answer is no.
2.
We will shift until we're basically about to die, and then we're just gonna shift out permanently on the deathbed. That's pretty much it. And I know me personally, the way I believe spiritually, I think I'm just gonna automatically go somewhere when I die anyway, so.
Same, me too. I don't know, it's just for me, with the connections that I've formed, there's no way that that's ever gonna just stop for me. But also, if you're experiencing the multiverse, basically, because I'm a multiverse shifter, I don't understand how you can just be like, nah, not anymore. But again, everyone has their own reasonings. I don't.
I love that I know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't even have to say it.
I'm not judging anybody, to each their own. Me personally, I don't understand it. What is your view on shifting through lucid dreams?
Do you mean like my personal experience, or like the ability to, or like
just anything to do? Like, what are your thoughts on it? And what's happened to you? I guess we can add that too.
It's harder than people say it is.
Yep.
So much harder.
Yeah.
Every time I've tried to do it, I've just ended up in a dream about my DR. They're always super vivid, and I have lucid dreams like before I ever knew about shifting that I don't remember. I remember every single lucid dream I have had since 2020 now, because I tried to shift in every single one of them, and I remember all of them in grave detail.
Yeah, it's always my first thought when I have a lucid dream of, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So I've tried to shift through lucid dreams multiple times. And usually, like, at first it was, I would try and make a portal, and then the portal just wouldn't happen. Or it would be weird and I couldn't get through it, or there was something blocking me. And then I just tried basically imagining closing my eyes and doing a shifting method from my dream. That didn't do anything. Or I would just keep getting thrown back into dreams that weren't even DR related. They were just like, my subconscious would just pull me back. My last lucid dream that I had, I tried to shift, and I was screaming in my dream. I was like, I deserve this. I am ready. I know what the fuck I'm doing. This is what's going to happen. And instead of doing like some sort of portal or anything like that, I remember I turned to my mom in the dream, and I was like, what do I do to shift? And she's like, well, you have to go back here, and you have to do this, and you have to do this. I was like, no, I'm going to go through this window right here, and I'm going to, as soon as I like jump into the ocean that's outside of this window, I'm going to shift. And then I opened the window and I couldn't get past it. Like something was fully like blocking me, and I was like, no, I fucking deserve this. I'm doing this right now. And like I was lucid fighting it for like what felt like a really long time. and then I just ended up waking up. That was really frustrating. I also wasn't aware at the time that I had that attachment, and I feel like that probably played a part in it. So, yeah. But I think it's great because, I mean, you're literally just in your subconscious at that point. So
yeah, at that point, I think there's really no point in not trying. A lot of mine, it's like I'll try to, and I, like, it's almost like I fall or I go black and I wake up. I did have, I'm not kidding, like maybe 2 weeks after I started shifting, I had a lucid dream. Charlie was in town with me and she was literally asleep on the other side of the bed. We weren't even a couple yet. And I had a dream that I was in the mall with about half of the Cullen family. And we were shopping at Hot Topic. I don't know what in the teen fantasy it was, but I remember Carlisle and Alice and Emmett walking into Hot Topic and me walking behind them holding a bunch of bags from like a different store. And I was like, wait a minute, these motherfuckers aren't real. Like, it just like hit me, and I stopped outside of the store, and there was like a big pillar that was like squared off and made of brick. And I remember like putting my back to it and putting the bags down and closing my eyes and being like, when I turn around, there is going to be a door to my Hogwarts DR behind me. And as soon as I thought that, the ground beneath me was gone, and I just like fell and I jolted awake, and I was like, this is fucking cheating. And like half of my lucid dreams go like that. I remember one where some random dude that I know was supposed to be my dad but was not my dad locked me in like a children's room as an adult, and then the door disappeared, and I was like, I want to get to my DR, and like something around me, it was like a voice or something, was like, you have to figure out how the fuck to get out by yourself. And the only thing in there was a mirror. I jumped through the mirror, jolted awake. There was a portal that appeared in my fucking backyard, jumped through it, jolted awake. And I was like, this is fuckery. But the one that stands out to me the most was I was standing on my front porch, and I look over at the people next door, and the only reason I recognized that this was a dream was because the next door neighbors were being nice and polite people and not being rude and loud and horrible. May my neighbors never see this. And I was like, wait a minute, they don't have quiet, polite children. They're not nice to each other or their family. What's happening? And I was like, this is not what's up. And I started like counting my fingers and stuff. And I was like, okay, this can be my time. And I walk over to the driveway and I took a couple deep breaths. And I think my issue is that I immediately start trying to shift. I saw someone once who was like, if you're going to try to shift through a lucid dream, you need to try to ground yourself first and then do it. Because if you do it immediately, you're just jumping into another dream. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do this, but I don't think I grounded myself for long enough. It was like, I took like okay, I'm going to do it. Like, that was not me grounding. That was me being impatient. And I tried to like summon a portal, but like every time I do it, I turn into Doctor Strange, and I'm like, there will be a portal. Because I know that there is a Doctor Strange method that people do. And I guess I just kind of stuck to that, and I was just like... But so, like, this portal kind of appeared, and it looked like there was a room on the other side, but I couldn't tell what room it was. And I stepped through it, and I heard this, like, echoing sound around me, almost kind of like if I was in, like, a big metal tub. But when I opened my eyes, I was standing in a shower, and it was like a shower with a glass door, but the glass door was open. And the bathroom was dark, but there was like a singular haunting light above the shower. And I was like, well, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I'm fully dressed and the shower's not even on. And I got out, and I see light coming from a room across the hallway. I walk across this creepy ass hallway into a room, and in my being, I'm like, I think that this is my room, but it's not my room. Like, it had like facets of my room. Like, the bed looked like mine and it was in the right spot, but the walls were the wrong color and half the furniture was gone. And then it occurred to me that there was a giant split in the floor, almost like an earthquake had cracked the floor open, and there was like a dresser set halfway into this crack. And I was like, what the fuck? And I heard someone walking, and I looked around it, and my friend Corey comes around the other side. And I almost half convinced myself that dreams could be shared, because I went, girl, what are you doing here? She goes, I don't know. I'm trying to get to mine.
What the fuck?
Because she also has an MCUDR, and when that happened, I was trying to get to my MCUDR, and I half convinced myself ever since that she was trying to shift to her MCUDR, and we, like, shared a dream. It didn't happen to this version of her, but I'm convinced. And I heard someone behind me, and I turned around, and there was a woman behind me. At the time, I recognized her, but as soon as I woke up, I was like, I don't know who the fuck that is. Like, came out of, like, a big hole in the wall, almost like the wall had been knocked out by construction, and came out and started talking to me, but as soon as, like, I looked at her face to acknowledge who she was, I woke up. Almost like I wasn't allowed to know who she was. And I woke the fuck up, and I'm like, Corey's just stuck with this bitch who came out of a hole in the wall in my construction zone. Like, so at this point, I don't have a lot of lucid dreams anymore. I don't have a lot of lucid dreams anymore because I don't do, all the shit they say you're supposed to do. I don't really write down my dreams anymore, and I don't do reality checks because either I'm just going to end up falling through a hole or I'm going to end up in a haunted shower. So I don't really care to do that.
I think the reason that some people shift through lucid dreams and some people don't, I think it's a matter of probability, which we'll go into that later because there's a question that touches on that later. But I think some people are meant to shift for the first time through lucid dreams. But I think people like me, I know damn well that if the first time I shift is through a lucid dream, I'm going to convince myself that is the only way that I can shift. And that's not true. Like, obviously I've shifted before, but I'm talking about, like, full grounded shift. I'd be like, oh, okay, so I just have to lucid dream. And I don't think that's my path. So I feel like the probability of that happening isn't zero, but it's probably just not as high as if I did something else. So what are your thoughts on other shifting podcasts?
They go away very easily.
Yeah, they do leave very easily.
I was going to say, the only one that I ever kept up on regularly was Get Shifty, and I don't think that they've posted in over a year. I remember C talking about they were supposed to post at least one more, and then they never did. I subscribe to Shift Happens, but I don't know if that's going to keep going because the creator left the shifting community on TikTok, so I don't know if they're going to keep doing that one. I don't watch any other ones. I don't actually know of any other ones.
Yeah, I don't see us stopping this, to be honest with you. Knock on wood.
No,
but, like, I don't...
we have a really long list of ideas, and honestly, this is really fun. It's like an excuse for us to hang out late together and BS, and plus I like hanging out with you guys. Like, when you guys comment and you talk about how we're, like, part of your day, I'm like, oh my god, people like us.
Or when they say it feels like a FaceTime call. Hey,
oh yeah, I get that a lot. I get a lot of people saying that they feel like they're just hanging out with their friends. Yeah. I love that. That's our favorite thing.
That's my favorite. I mean, anything that, like, motivates the community, I'm so here for. They do have there's, like, a curse where they don't seem to last very long. Mm-hmm. But also, I don't have time to watch shifting podcasts. I barely have time to watch my shows. So,
I don't even watch YouTubers anymore, really. The only people I keep up with content-wise are, like, you, and that's about it. I don't even keep up with them anymore. My time gets devoted
to, like... I haven't in months. I'm sad.
Yeah, I think the only YouTubers I really watch anymore are, like, anyone who posts content about, like, someone I'm shifting for, and I'll watch your stuff. I'm trying to catch up on CAD. CAD popped in on one of my lives the other day, and I absolutely was like, you terrify me. And I know that CAD watches
CAD, if you're watching this, I love you.
I know CAD watches these. She commented on one of the last ones. And I've never been more terrified of another person in my life. It's giving Polly Gray, and I'm terrified.
Yeah, well, you know what? Kat is my favorite person to send Killian Murphy edits to be so honest. And I love that we just have this thing where it's like, I don't feel the need to shift for Jonathan. Like, that's just, anytime I see Jonathan, I'm like, that's Kat's husband. And she's the same way with Tommy, and I'm like, you get it. You get it.
He stops looking like him when he puts glasses on. It's like Clark Kent and Superman. Like, it's a different guy when he's got fucking glasses on.
There is a version of him with glasses that I shift for, and I'm like, yes.
Which one is that?
Williamsburg.
I forget about that one.
Yeah, I actually thought about shifting there earlier. But
you haven't touched that DR in like half a year.
Yeah.
Is this why I got the Lover's card 6 times during a reading for someone earlier that wasn't a higher, it wasn't It was a higher self reading for a client, and the lovers popped out 6 different times, and I'm like, this does not make sense. They're not asking
That's
about
where
anything
Beth
to do
is
with their love
currently
life.
focused. So, next question. Do you wear wigs?
No,
Have you worn wigs?
I don't think so.
When will you wear wigs? And finally, what do you think is the best way to get into the hypnagogic state or void state?
With wigs.
With wigs. For me personally, audio. At least for the hypnagogic state, not so much the void state. I noticed when I'm trying to shift, if I'm like starting to drift off, if my son would start fussing and there'd be like an audio disruption or something, I'm in the hypnagogic state so fast. Or if there's some of my subliminals, I'll do like color noise changes, so it'll go from like blue noise to pink noise, like in Cosmic Transcendence. And also with Cosmic Transcendence, I still was like learning how to make subliminals, so the audio is like a little bit patchy in terms of like the volume. It's not just like a steady volume. And within the first 10 minutes, there's like a very significant volume change that just lasts a few seconds. Every time that hits, I am in the hypnagogic state, and that's it. I've only been in the void state once, and I see people talking about the void state all the time, and really they're referring to the hypnagogic state. So the hypnagogic state, you are in between being awake and asleep. The void state, it feels like you're in a void. You are not your body. You don't feel anything. You don't hear anything. You don't see anything. Like, you just are in your purest form. So when I slipped into the void state, I was just meditating for a hot minute, and then I couldn't feel my fiance beside me. I couldn't feel my bed. I couldn't feel my limbs. I couldn't hear anything, but I was still very much like awake and aware. It just felt like I was floating somewhere. Like, everything just went silent, and like it felt like existing in the void. And I was there for like 5 seconds, and I think that's happened maybe twice in my entire shifting journey. Like, it doesn't happen very often for me. But as far as the hypnagogic state, definitely like things to do with audio and subliminals for me help the most. So, what about you?
My answer is similar. Mine with the void state, it's almost like an in-between to other shit. I've never been in it for long. I was in it twice when I used the void state meditation 2.0 from Alunir. And I was in it for enough time to take, I'd say maybe 3 deep breaths, if I had to guess. And then I started like feeling shit from where I was going. So it's like I was void for a second, almost like it was a hallway I was passing through to get from A to B. So it's never very long. And I don't think that I don't think I got into the void state when I mini shifted in April. I was listening to one of your things, and it's like I went straight from here to somewhere else. It was like I was here, and then all of a sudden I was feeling shit elsewhere, and I was like, oh, I jumped over the hallway and landed in the other room.
Yeah. For me, it's like, I think I slipped into the void state, and then I remember thinking, oh, this is fucking weird. Oh, shit, what do I do? What do I fucking do? I am shifting. And then I was just back here. I completely fumbled. But
It's because
okay.
we panicked. We're like, oh, what is this?
Definitely. Okay. Do you think shifting can impact your relationships or mental health in your current reality?
Yes, and they did. I think that I was a horrible person to be around the first couple of years of my shifting journey, because I didn't care about anything but shifting. I very heavily neglected all relationships in my life in favor of shifting. I wasn't sleeping just to sleep. I was not napping to nap. It was, I'm doing this, so I shift. I'm only doing skincare, so I shift. I was obsessive. I was definitely ignoring people. When I hyperfixate, I tend to neglect those around me, which is something I'm working on in therapy, and I don't do it as badly as I used to. When I was like 25, it was rampant. I have been a lot better about it the last few. So, clocking back in after this brief intermission I just had about my mental health, I have been doing better the last 9 months about being involved in the relationship in my life, and being a more present friend, a more present partner, more present with my family. And I feel like I've been making better strides in therapy, and like, I think in a weird way I've flourished shifting wise since then. What are you doing?
There's something on my teeth. Don't show me. Look away.
I'm like the paparazzi. I show only her. But I feel like I've been like flourishing since then. I think when I let myself get consumed by things in my life, I neglect everything else and I actually halt as a person. And I went from one thing to another with that. And not you giving me knowing looks. I went from one thing I was obsessing about to another, and I think it wasn't until I finally started letting go of things that were hurting me or things that were keeping me nailed to the ground and not obsessing over things and letting myself exist in all parts of my life that I even think I started flourishing shifting wise. I mean, in the last 9 months, I started channeling. I feel our people around me all the time. I opened my eyes somewhere else. I mini shifted in April. I had all of my realizations and memories since then. Most of my shifting progress that I tell people about is shit that has happened in the last 9 months, except for my first 2 mini shifts. Pretty much everything.
And a multiversal leech. You also gained that too. I said you also gained a multiversal leech. What do you think I said? Oh my god. So I agree with everything you said about impacting like relationships and mental health and stuff. But also for me, so I found shifting deep as fuck in postpartum depression, living away from family and friends and just very alone, and I didn't have a lot of hope, because my doctor's office shut down, so I wasn't even having, like, couldn't get my medicine or anything, had to go cold turkey on that stuff. And that was not fun. It wasn't a good time, and shifting brought that hope back. But it also has helped my mental health a lot, especially recently. I have had moments where it's done the opposite, but I mean, like, with the connections that I've had and stuff, I've learned that not only it's not so much I need to do this in order to shift, I need to take care of myself in order to shift. It's I want to take care of myself because that's what I deserve. And then the same thing with like relationships with people. I feel like I've become a lot more, I don't put up with as much shit as I used to because I know what I deserve. And so I feel like that's something really good that shifting has done for me. What are your thoughts on the law of assumption?
That I need to dive more into it because I know little to nothing about it, and anything I know about it, it's because I've seen CAD's content.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in it and I use it sparingly. Like, I'm not in it like CAD is. If you want law of assumption content, go over to Shifting with CAD. Maybe we've talked about CAD a couple times. We should just link them in the description.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, I know I'm subscribed to them. I just haven't caught up in their stuff in a while.
I have like one video left to catch up on, I think. I'm CAD's biggest fan. Anyways.
I'm CAD's biggest terror. I am terrified of them.
What are some of your shifting hot takes or controversial opinions? I can go first if you want me to.
As I said, do you think something's not gonna get us canceled?
Race changing is weird. I don't care.
That's not a hot take, is it? That's just fucking common sense.
It's a hot take nowadays. People are like, you can do whatever you want in your DR. That's and there's no.
When did that stop being common sense?
I wish I knew, brother. I wish I knew. Listen, I don't hate you for what you do. I'm never going to be like, yeah, this is fine. It makes me uncomfortable. I've seen people of color saying it makes them uncomfortable. There's just no point. There's literally no point. So, that's my hot take. Also, kids shouldn't age themselves up is becoming a hot take, which is wild to me.
I just think that's creepy. I think you are setting yourself up. Like, again, I can't control what anybody does, but I feel like a teenager shifting to be an adult and in adult situations with adult friends and adult partners doing adult things is so creepy and also going to damage them.
Please live out your youth.
I would go back. I will probably eventually use shifting to have an idyllic childhood. Like, just fucking hold on to your youth, dude. I'm trying to
I
think
thought
of
about shifting back to just, like, childhood memories that I want to relive and stuff like that, but never, like, just, honestly, no, you don't need to.
No, not at all.
Just wait
a few
years. You're only
something
young
that
once.
could be considered controversial, I guess, because it's similar to that. While I do think that race changing is very problematic, I don't think gender changing is.
Yeah, no.
No, I've seen a lot of people that have tried to give shit to trans creators who want to shift to be what makes them the most comfortable biologically and for their outsides to match the insides and, like, whatever's the most comfortable for them. And then I'll see people in the comments be like, oh, well, if I can't race change, you can't gender change. It's like, gender and sex are two very different things. How about you read anything, learn anything?
Yeah. I think the only thing with gender is if you are a cis person shifting to be trans, why?
That one is definitely weird, but I think if it's someone who's like, I want to be in a body that makes me feel comfortable, I don't see anything wrong with that.
No, I'm talking about, like, cis people shifting to be trans.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, like, but if it's, like, a trans person who's, like, shifting to be in a body that makes them comfortable, I don't think that that's weird.
I don't think that's weird either. I think it's weird when cis people shift to be trans, but...
I didn't know people did that. That's really weird.
I haven't seen it in a couple years, but I know of at least one person who did back in, like, 2021.
That's bizarre.
Shifting blockages. Real or nah?
Yes.
Kinda, is my answer.
I think if there is a blockage, it's usually something that you personally are hung up on. Whenever I do readings for people, and I'm not kidding, and if you get a reading from me, more than likely this is going to be what happens. When people reach out to me about shifting blockages, 9 times out of 10, the blockage is either you think that you have a blockage, so you have created a blockage. 2, there is something going on with you in your life that's unhealthy, like an unhealthy relationship, or an unhealthy mental state, or a job that's hurting you, or a person that's hurting you, something that's really toxic in your life that is holding you back in a weird, like a really weird, intense way that you can't focus. I personally have been through shit where you have to let go of toxic stuff because it's holding you back and then you're better afterwards. Or it's something to do with your mental health is so crap that it's almost like, in a way, you know you shouldn't be shifting right now because the overwhelm of that is going to tip you over the edge. So usually it has to do with either you've created it, something in your life needs to be gotten rid of that's hurting you and you need to expel it before you can get into the right mindset, or your mindset's already fucked up because of health issues.
Yeah. So I do think there are blockages. You can shift with them, though. It's not a matter of I have doubts so I can't shift, or I'm in this situation so I'm lacking confidence so I can't shift. You still can. It's just the probability of that happening is not as high as if you didn't have these things going on, which again, we'll get to later. This one's interesting. If shifting was studied more and was proven to be a different type of dreaming, would this disappoint you and would you agree with it?
I wouldn't give a damn. I wouldn't give a damn. I did a video today on my channel where I was saying that I don't care what shifting is. I don't care who sides with what about consciousness versus multiverse. I don't care if we're all wrong and it turns out to be dreaming. I don't care if, you know, it's this, that, or the other thing. What I care about is that I get to do it and live it and that it makes me happy. So I don't care what the fuck the logistics are. Like, all I care about is that I get to do it. I don't care what the details are. Also, I'm so sorry that I'm, like, spreading in front of you. I'm so uncomfortable because this chair is... I've missed the chapter where I gave birth to you. No, I'm just, like, so uncomfortable. This chair is, like, making my butt numb. So I'm just, like, moving the best I can, and I've, like, accidentally spread upon you.
I have a denim wedge. Hold on. I'm so sorry, editing Lewis. You just saw the biggest toe of your life.
Editing me is in hell.
I've already apologized, like, 3 times. So I would disagree because I know that it's not just dreaming. Because of channeling, because of things like my butterflies, like, I know that it's not just dreaming, especially because I've done it awake. It's not dreaming. It's so much more than that. So I don't think it would ever come to that, and if someone was like, it's a deeper form of dreaming, I'd be like, keep looking, because there's more that you're missing, so.
I feel like maybe that's why I don't care, is that I'm just so sure. It's like, when I'm positive about something, I don't care about the maybes and what ifs. I don't care if they're like, oh, I've proven it to be this. because I'm doing it. I know what it is. I know I've had real experiences. If people want to prove it otherwise, okay, what you say on paper is not going to affect what I've done. So, like, I believe in our channeling. I believe in your experiences. I believe in mine and Beth's and Cad's and everybody else's experiences who's shifted. I don't really care what the on-paper proof is, because I'd rather believe real people I actually know and trust over, the scientist guy.
My dream in life is to be the scientist guy and do it the right way, to be honest
His name is Dave, and he has curly hair and glasses.
There's someone in your space right now named Dave with curly hair and glasses who's like... Okay, this one's also really interesting. What is your idea on the concept of morality in different realities? Do you think karma applies to your awareness rather than just one reality, since there might be different morals in different realities?
Yes, because people who don't are people that make killing DRs.
Yeah.
I think that you make decisions somewhere and it will follow you.
Yeah, I think if you're a bad person, regardless of what the morals are in any reality, if you're doing things like unaliving people or like just, if you're being a bad person, you're gonna get what's coming to you, whether it's in this reality or the next one. Like, that's... Yep. What has shifting taught you about yourself?
That who I am is no one's business. That
Period.
my sexuality is nobody's business. That my spiritual beliefs are nobody's business. That my private life is no one's business. That I don't owe anyone details. I don't owe anyone answers. I don't owe anyone secrets. I don't owe anyone my time. My time is so fucking precious that the universe gave me an infinite amount of it to do with what I will. Ain't nobody's business what the fuck I do with it. Ain't nobody's business who I am or where I go. It's my life. It's no one's fucking business. And shifting has taught me that my business is so fucking important, I don't owe it to anybody but me.
And that's all business. A lot better answer than mine. I learned that I am incredibly stubborn and also incredibly passionate. I learned that I love nerdy shit, like how the subconscious mind works, like making subliminals and just like your conscious as a whole. And also just how spiritually open I really am. Cut back to the last episode when I talk about a spiritual attachment because I wasn't protecting myself.
Cut back to her doing multiple readings for herself before she hit record today.
It's just part of my life. What do you want from me? But no, I learned... I cried.
To only Adam Lambert and no one else.
Yeah. I don't know, I feel like beforehand, I even had an ex-boyfriend tell me that I wasn't good at sticking things out. Like, I didn't have the will to do it. Like, I wasn't able to do it. Oh, wait a minute.
Where's he live? I just want to have a talk.
Yeah. But I was told that, like, I wasn't great with... I just got money. Sorry.
What'd you get money for?
I was told that I'm tarot. I was told that I wasn't great with sticking with things, and like I gave up really easily on certain things. But I am incredibly stubborn, and I don't give up easily on things that I'm really passionate about. I don't. So there's that. You ready for the next question, Mowitz?
I'm scared that you've asked me if I'm ready.
It's not bad. Do you feel the need to script for every media that you engage in? Like every show, movie, book?
Whichever one of you asked that is an asshole. Because yes, I do. Yes, girl, I do. And that's why I made my hotel DR, so that I wouldn't. Which, by the way, by the time this goes up, there will be a video on its way about my hotel DR. I think it'll be probably the next video I post on my channel after this goes live. But no, dead ass, yes I do. I do, and I have to stop myself because I'll get rid of a script as soon as I'm not in the mood for it anymore. Like, once I finish, like, a movie franchise, like, I'll catch myself. Like, I'll start, like, a Lord of the Rings rewatch, and right off the top, I'm like, I want to bring that DR back. By the time I finish, with the last movie, I'm like, and I'm out. Like, I have started and stopped my Pirates of the Caribbean script several times. I'll see one edit of the person who's my partner in my Pirates of the Caribbean DR back in the day, and then I'll start it back up, and I did that recently because I watched the first probably 15 minutes of the first film. Not even, probably first 5. And I saw this person one time, and then I put an edit of this motherfucker into the edits section, and nothing else. I have no intention. It's there in case I need it later.
You're organizing your favorite media.
I'm organizing who I'm a go-to and when by importance. He's not very importance right now.
I used to do this where I would watch anything, and from the moment like the title would start on episode 1, I would be like, okay, so where do I live? Who am I with? What am I doing? It was bad. And like as the show would go on, I'd be like, okay, and I can add this and this. So like I wasn't even watching the show to watch the show. I was watching it to be like, oh, okay. And then I watched The Handmaid's Tale, and I was like, no. That's a hard no. And then after that, I watched Peaky.
Now we're just living in it. It's scripted for you.
Yeah. So I started watching Peaky Blinders, and I was like, my spidey senses are tingling. I remember having the thought that this was going to be... Don't look at me like that. I remember
nothing's happening.
This weird sense in my mind. I was like, this is important. And I didn't know why, but I was like, this is important. I didn't know who I was shifting for until halfway through season 2. And then I was like, yeah, it wasn't like an immediate thing, which is weird for me.
I have no room to talk. I thought I was shifting for Polly in season 3. Like, I was like, I'm not going to shift here the first 2 seasons. She showed up in a beautiful ball gown in season 3, like episode 2. And I was like, keep kicking this light. I was like, I'm shifting for this woman. A couple seasons later, I was like, Arthur's looking real in need of a hug right now.
I can fix him. Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Linda can't.
But recently I've gotten a lot better about not scripting things. Not even recently. It's just after I made my Peaky DR and I had my butterflies for the first time, I was like, oh. Because when I got my butterflies for the first time, every single DR that I had before that in the trash. Like, just didn't
Rest
care
in peace, Anthony Bridgerton.
at all.
You would have loved Lana Del Rey.
So, I just, after experiencing that kind of connection and that, like, homesickness, which is just in my fucking bones at all times, I was like, no, I don't need to. I can just enjoy things without feeling the need to script myself in. And then after that, it turned into me shifting for every variation of Cillian Murphy, other than Jonathan Crane. Again, I love you, Cad. You're
not shifting for that one where he's crazy. Where he was, like, chasing the bitch. You're not doing that one. He was crazy.
Red Eye?
Yeah, you're not doing that one. Carly Marie.
Hello? Okay. Ooh, I'm gonna call myself out with this one. Do either of you have DRs you'd love to go to, but are too scared to, or they're too dangerous? Or do you have any DRs you thought about scripting, but then changed your mind?
I'm gonna let you go first, because I just want you to go first.
Here's the thing. With channeling and being very spiritually open, especially with shifting,
she hasn't even started yet.
Sometimes I will get realizations or memories from a DR that is not mine. And it just comes to me, and it's almost like glimpses of me living these other lives.
Yeah.
And I've had multiple that I'm like, no, that I'm not even going to speak about on the internet. You better cut that shit out. But there was one where, with my personal DR, I woke up and I knew all of the details of everything. And I was like, this is really sweet. This is really wholesome. I'm doing this. But then it happened again. And I know that if I shift to this place, it would not end well. And I'm really having to fight myself because I feel that version in my space a lot. And it's like weird because I have a connection with this higher self, I guess, but it's not somewhere that I have ever scripted. It's just something that I know and that I've like had realizations for, but I know that like I cannot engage because I'll just tell you guys are my besties. If you're still watching this far in, it's fine. It's basically Do I? Fucking do I? It's a version of Cillian Murphy. We're not surprised. But he's in an asylum. But he's not meant to be there. And this is like an old, like, 1900s asylum that's still running because it's, like, privately owned, run by the 1%. He was a journalist who found out way too much. And so they, like, kept him in there in, like, a catatonic state. But he's not actually in a catatonic state. And then I get a job there. He slowly realizes I'm not like them. And then it's this whole big thing. I even know the name of the asylum. I know what he looks like. I know what the rooms look like. I know what it looks like. And all of, like, everything, the setup. Without thinking about it, it just came to me. And it was like this weight of, like, another life kind of crashing down on me. But I don't think I could ever shift there. And if I do, it wouldn't be until a long while from now, because that sounds very heavy and very much like something that I couldn't handle at this moment in time. So, anyways, that's how you know I love and trust you, because I just told you my biggest secret of my whole life. Are you shifting for the plot in any of your DRs?
Kind of. I'm like shifting
for
half
the plot of my DR and yours.
I think at this point I'm shifting to my Salem DR just to, like, push you guys together and go, keys! Partially, yes and no. It's more like the plot is still happening around me. Mm-hmm. In my Hogwarts DR, the, like, Voldemort plot is still happening around me. But instead of it ending in year 7, it's gonna end at the end of year 4. That way that shit is, like, done and dusted at the end of the Triwizard Tournament. And in my MCU DR, technically the entire plot of the MCU is still going on, which is very, very vast and intense. But I've scripted out the Battle of New York, and I've scripted out all the Thanos bullshit. But the everything else is still going on within the MCU. The entire plot of Stranger Things is still happening. The entire thing. The only thing that's not going to happen is the crap that happened to Hopper at the end of season 3. And then everything that happened to him in season 4. Everything else is still happening, minus a few deaths. The plot of Peaky's not happening. There's no real plot other than just us showing up to get railed in Gangster's Paradise. That's really it. I don't think there's a plot happening in a lot of my DRs. There is no plot to, like, my Salem DR. The DR that she has talked me into with hers, if you ever hear her talk about her Forbidden DR, I've gotten sucked the fuck in. There is no plot there except for whatever Carly cooks up. She is the evil mastermind, the author of my life. So technically I'm half shifting for plot in Hogwarts and MCU and Stranger Things, but the plot's not the reason I'm going.
With Peaky, kind of, actually.
Oh, fuck, are we screwed?
Doing. We're not screwed, but I have had realizations about, like, the Sabini situation and Changreta, and, like, there are still things happening. Father Hughes does come around, but we don't.
Can I kill that guy? Can I kill that guy?
We don't lose any of our people. Mosley obviously doesn't, because that wouldn't make sense with the time or anything, because it's a modern DR. But there is still, like, happenings that would be, like, with the plot of the show. But obviously Grace isn't there, so it's not, like, following the plot. Lizzie's not in my version.
In my version, I've fully, and I'm so serious, decided that Lizzie is going to be a lesbian, and I want her to end up with Polly. Because I think it would be fun just to have lesbians around.
Okay. Have you ever had any accidental shifts? Floor is yours.
Every time I've shifted, it's been on purpose.
But technically, when you open your eyes.
I mean, technically, it counts as an accident because I went to the wrong place. Because I was trying to shift to my MCU DR, and then I ended up in a different version of this room. So I guess technically that's an accident. I actually... Did I tell you? I don't think I did, because I think Beth was here, and I was like, I'll wait until she's not busy. Did I tell you that I think I realized I shifted as a kid and it was an accident? Okay, so I have a very, very clear memory in my childhood. I did not live in this house, but I had come to this house and was staying here while living in a different state. And we were up here because my mom needed medical assistance that she could only get from specific doctors here. And I was staying in this room in a different bed before we lived here, and I remember laying down in bed, and it was completely dark, and I hated sleeping in this room because there was no nightlight, there was no television in here, nothing. It was a completely pitch black room other than a little bit of light coming in from a street lamp that was like on the door that used to be where my closet is. Now there's just a curtain, but it was like one of those horrible metal like foldy doors. And
I'm listening. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And there was a little bit of light on it, and I remember staring at it. I was not tired, and all I could think about is, I hate how dark it is in here. It is so creepy. I just want it to be daylight so, so bad. And like, I'd never been so frightened because I was terrified of the dark. And I closed my eyes, and then I opened them again. I did not fall asleep. It was literally, I went, like, it was a half second longer than a blink. And it was complete daylight, and it was morning. I did not feel like I had woken up. I did not feel like I had fallen asleep. I didn't feel tired. My position was exactly the same. I was laying on my back. And even when I fall asleep on my back, I do not wake up on my back. I was laying completely on my back, propped in the same position, and staring at that same spot on the wall. Like, my head hadn't even moved. And I remember in that moment being like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. And trying to close my eyes and open them again to see if anything would be different. But it wasn't. I was just in the daylight. And I could never explain that. And it is, I'm not kidding, the clearest memory of my childhood. And now I'm starting to wonder if I was so fucking frightened of the dark that I shifted to the daytime. I know I wasn't asleep. I know what it feels like to fall asleep quickly. I wasn't tired. I didn't yawn. I was frightened and awake. And like, I closed my eyes real hard for a second and opened them back up, and it was bright ass fucking daylight. And it put me in this crazy mood all day because I just thought it was just like the weirdest thing that had ever happened to me. And I was in a great mood all day because I didn't have to spend any time in the dark.
Did you tell your mom when that happened?
No, mom was in the hospital. I tried to tell my dad, but my dad was like all out of it because mom was in the hospital.
Yeah.
So I've actually never told anyone that before. You're the first person, you guys are all the first people to ever hear that in my whole life.
That's really cool.
So yeah, I think I shifted as a kid.
Sounds like it. So my first ever accidental shift, because I've done it a lot, was to Pixie Hollow when I was 12, maybe 12 or 13, 11, 12, 13, one of those three. And I've talked about that before on here. It was just very brief, but I was just watching Tinkerbell, thinking about Tinkerbell. I didn't know what shifting was, obviously, and I ended up there for a few seconds. Fun fact, after thinking about maybe revisiting that as like a place I would like shift to now, kind of like honor my inner child a little bit, I guess. I have had realizations about things from that DR, so that's pretty cool. And then when I opened my eyes in the shower, I don't think I was trying to shift. I was listening to the Master Shifter. I wasn't trying to shift. I was listening to the Master Shifter Subliminal, which is day 7 of boot camp. And I was playing that because I was really in a slump with shifting, just not feeling great, and I just wasn't in it. And I was like, this would help my mindset, so I'm gonna listen to this. And then I end up shifting to where I'm standing in the shower. I've also talked about that. That was, I think, the longest I've had my eyes open, aware that I'm somewhere else, and then tried to ground myself, and then ended up back here. And then, let's see, when I was sound testing my subliminal reverie, which that entire subliminal, from the color noise to the brainwave patterns to, I don't know if there's solfeggio frequencies in that one, but if there is, all of it including the affirmations, were based around when I opened my eyes in my PQDR. So I was sound checking that because I just couldn't decide on where I wanted to go. And I realized I was shifting and I was like, oh fuck. And then I ended up opening my eyes under a tree. Which I'm starting to think that might have been like an astral experience, but I'm not sure. Because I did end up astral projecting a lot after that with like similar situations. But there have also been times where I'm listening to some sort of subliminal for my mindset, or even just taking a nap. And I won't be actively trying to shift, but I'll think about shifting briefly. I've had my eyes open in other realities a lot, just very ungrounded. Like there was one instance where I was on the edge of my bed, staring at a wall, and I could see like the bottom of like the painting in my peripheral vision, and I was just sitting there trying to wake up for like a couple minutes, and I just felt so fucking tired. And we've talked about that before, that really tired feeling.
That's what happened to me when I opened my eyes somewhere. It's like you're in your bones exhausted. Like your eyes physically hurt.
And then I opened my eyes again and I was back here. I'd been taking a nap on the couch, but what I was seeing was the wall of our old apartment before we moved in here. And little things like that where it's not me actively trying to shift, but I'll think about shifting. Or when I was a kid, obviously I didn't know what shifting was, and then I'll have something crazy happen. But it's really hard to ground yourself when you're not expecting anything like that to happen. So, yeah, those are mine that I can think of off the top of my head. It's kind of late, but I'm doing my best. What's the craziest experience you had with shifting?
I feel like I don't even know how to categorize crazy. Like, is it, like, it feels crazy in the moment, or looking back at it, it was crazy as fuck?
Yeah. Just any of it. What's just the craziest thing?
Tony asshole Stark came into my bedroom and stood next to my sleeping body and started talking and bouncing his fucking leg off of my mattress. That was horrifying and terrifying to the point that I didn't even want to shift anymore. I just wanted him out of my fucking room because I know him and he can and will walk in unannounced. Which gives me the very solid realization that I have to lock my door a lot, because I feel like he walked in on me changing one time and then was like, oh, fancy meeting you here, don't stop on my account, like that kind of shit. Like he would do that. Like, and so now I lock my door a lot, and I feel like I don't lock my door at night though, in case there's like an emergency and he needs to get to me, because I know him and he can and will use some sort of Iron Man device to blow my fucking door down at his earliest convenience just because he's hungry. And so I leave that shit unlocked, and I feel like I was sleeping in my room and he came in trying to wake me up, and he was like bouncing on the side of my bed talking to me, trying to wake me up. I don't know why he didn't just touch me, but like if he had, I probably would have just sharted everywhere out of fear. And I didn't even want to shift anymore. I just, in my head, kept going, go away, get out, go away, get out. I don't want you, I'm terrified, get out, get out, get out, get out. Like, I was so badly terrified. I wanted him gone as hail. And eventually, he, like, stopped the bouncing and then said something else before he left. I couldn't understand him. And then I heard him walk past my door talking on the phone to someone. And that was the only time I started to really calm down. But I think I was so freaked as shit that I was just like, get out. Like, I did not care about shifting anymore. I just cared about not being with a man. That's all I wanted. I was just like, get the fuck away from me. I am so vulnerable.
So for mine, I thought about one thing, which I feel like is pretty expected, but then I remembered another thing that I don't think I have ever talked about online before that involves you. So the first one, opening my eyes in my DR, I was like, what in the full fuck, to the point that I convinced myself that it was some sort of vision. Like, I'm that so Raven for like 2 days. While it was happening, I was like, is this a vision? Like, I was in such disbelief. The other one, which now that I have astral projected multiple times, know that this was an astral experience. I was sitting in this like void area, like everything was black, but I was sitting down. On this side of me was Tommy, just sitting in a chair, just kind of looked over at me and smiled. Across from us, like a really far distance away, Lilith and Arthur were sitting in chairs next to each other, and we were having a conversation with them, but I was with Tommy and they were across the way, and there was no way we would have been able to hear each other. And I can't remember if we were talking out loud or if it was like a telepathic thing, but there was just communication happening. And it didn't feel like words because I don't remember any of what was said. It just felt like there was some sort of exchange of like conversation happening. And that was my first time that I can remember having an astral experience. Lilith has ghosts in her house. What's going on?
I cannot put in what's going on.
Cut. Have you ever encountered any unexpected challenges or consequences during your shifting journey? Come on, Cletus.
That's my consequence. Carly is my consequence. She's my unplanned pregnancy.
Mine's asleep in his room.
I think the consequence is being haunted. The consequence is that, God forbid, you try to be alone. God forbid you try to do work without one of Carly's boyfriends showing up and going, "Are you going to pay attention to me now? Is it my turn?" Like, really aggressively. And challenges is that her boyfriends are very loud and don't want me to do the job I'm paid to do.
So it's just me. I'm the drama.
Carly is the greatest struggle I've ever been faced with.
And your favorite.
Yes, I wouldn't trade you for the world, but you are kind of the human equivalent of having a disease.
Anyways, syphilis. So,
anything for you, shingles.
I wasn't this is gonna sound so cheesy and I hate myself for saying it. I wasn't expecting to fall as hard as I did or to have the butterflies because I didn't know that that was possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that shit is intense, and that was very unexpected because like when I first found shifting, I was like, oh, this is fun, this is cool, this is cute, sure, let's do it. Oh, I'm into this. And then it's like life-altering connection, and it's not what I expected, and now it is forever marked on my body. Was not expecting that. Have you ever had shifting related dreams?
Yeah. A lot of them. Anytime I try to
her
lucid...
answer.
Yeah. Every time I try to shift through a lucid dream, I either get booted or I have a dream about my DR. I know I have 100% had dreams where I thought I was in my DR and then like someone would start acting weird or it wouldn't make any sense. I had an experience where I actually thought I shifted, but I know now it was just a crazy ass vivid dream where I was trying to shift to my Hogwarts DR and I just couldn't get it to work, and so I was like, fuck it, and I rolled over and decided to take a nap. And almost instantly, and the thing is, I thought I shifted because this dream started with my eyes still closed. Like I was feeling things before I opened my eyes. And I felt silk and lace under my left hand. And I opened my eyes, and I knew I was not where I was supposed to be, and that if I had shifted, I landed in the wrong goddamn place. Because I was laying on a bed that had baby pink silk sheets. And under my left hip was a round pink silk pillow with white lace embroidered edges like an old lady. It was very Umbridge. And I was like, hey.
How's your fiber brownie going?
Listen, I already ate it along with my fruit grain bar, but I'm regulated and you're not, so I don't want to hear it.
Fair.
But I was like, I am in the wrong ass place. What the fuck is this? Because I was like, I would never have a pillow that feels like this. It feels awful, like texturally, like going from like the smooth silk to suddenly just like scratchy old lace. Like it creeped me out really bad. And I stood up and looked around, and it was like my entire room was the size of like, I guess like your chambers would be, like a private chambers in a castle, but it was like one room. And there were 4 wooden dressers all back to back, like all the backs were in like a square, and they all had mirrors on them. And I was too scared to look in the mirrors because it was so early in the day that we thought we weren't allowed to look in mirrors in our TRs. And I walked around all 4 sets of dressers until I came to the very last one, opened it up, and all it had was thongs. In the top drawer was like 100 thongs in different colors, and they were all made of this weird silky material. And I was like, I don't know about you, but my butt is too big for a thong, and I don't be wearing no thongs. And I closed the drawer, stepped to the left, and there is a door across from me. It's the first door that I noticed in this entire place. It is a dark brown wooden door that kind of comes up into a point like this. And I walk over to the door and I open it, and it is the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom. I know that much ever since I watched the movies right after that, and it matched the classroom. Except they were all in desks from like a public American school, like the kind that like lift up and you keep all your shit in. And they're all wearing uniforms that would go to a private school but are not Hogwarts uniforms, and a classroom of 30 children all turned their head to look at me menacingly at the same time with rage. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I don't want it. And I closed that door so fast. Don't know why my bedroom led to a classroom full of children. I don't want to know. And I heard movement to my left, and I turn, and you know how like bathrooms are set up, like if you go to like Walmart, there's no like door to the bathroom. It's like you turn a corner of like a cement wall and then like another corner, and suddenly you're in a bathroom because you've gone around like a looped wall. Mm-hmm. It was like that. It was like the entrance into my room was like a looped wall of a public bathroom, and in walks what I assume was supposed to be Minerva McGonagall, because she's dressed like McGonagall, but she does not look like Maggie Smith, nor does she have the correct accent. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Looking back, she actually looked almost exactly like a girl who used to cosplay McGonagall that no longer does. And she's telling me that Albus is looking for me. And I'm like, okay, bet. And I follow her out. And the outside of the building looks like Hogwarts, but all of the kids are wearing what looks very much like a British private school uniform. They're all wearing khaki pants and brown shoes and blue blazers. And I remember it so clearly that I built this thing up in my head for a long time of like the first time I truly felt something in my DR was going to be a big deal. And we're walking past a wall, and I put my hand out, and I absolutely 100% felt the texture of a brick wall. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? This is so weird. And she led me across the courtyard, and I walked into a hall that led to a room that Albus was in. And Albus looked completely correct, but he looked like second Dumbledore. And there's 8,000 clocks on his walls. And his walls go up, I mean, probably as tall as like the Empire State Building. It's nothing but walls of clocks the size of a building all the way up. And I was so fucking confused. And he starts yelling at me about something. I don't remember what it was, but he's just like fussing at me, and we're getting into a fight. And I was like, I don't have to fucking listen to this. And I was like, I've shifted to the wrong place. This is not the right fucking location.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm fucking leaving. And he's like, you're not leaving until I tell you to. And then the walls start rising, like very quickly, but it's like as they're rising out of the ceiling, there's more clocks attached to the walls as they're rising out of the floor and continuing to get really tall. And I'm like, no wonder the fucking ceiling is so high. Every time someone pisses him off, he tries to trap him in with these walls. And I was like, I'm not having this. And I notice a chain hanging from this super long ceiling that looks like an old school toilet chain. And I grab it and I pull as if I were to flush, and it pulls me up from the ground and yanks me out, and I was jerked awake. And I was awake in my room, and I'd only been asleep about 30 minutes. I remember that in full detail, and it happened in 2021.
Let me get this straight. You remember it in full detail from 4 years ago. You had your 5 senses, yes? You did not describe a single time jump. Not one. And then the only time that it started to feel dreamlike was when you had the intention to shift back. And then suddenly it's like a dream.
Did I mention that when I posted a video about this situation that C, like the C of Shift Talk, commented and said, hey, you may have actually shifted.
Babe, I think you shifted, and then as soon as you were like, I'm leaving, it turned, like, it brought you back into, like, a dream.
I feel like it was really fucking weird. I feel like there were things about it that didn't make sense, but I'm also trying to remember that C said that the first time that they shifted, that there were werewolves in the courtyard eating the students, because they were the very wrong version of Hogwarts. But there was just something about it, I was like, there's no way that that's what this is. And, like, there are certain things that are in really vivid detail. Like, I remember the pillow very vividly. I remember, like, the feeling of the wall and everything. But, like, everything else is fuzzy. Like, looking Albus in the face and talking is fuzzy. And, like, actually walking into his office is really fuzzy. The faces of any of the students is really fuzzy. Like, hearing Minerva's voice is really fuzzy. Like, there are certain parts of it that don't line up to me about, like, what shifting feels like, because it just felt like it still wasn't all the way correct. Like, there was something that felt off, and there's just, I don't know how to describe it. I've actually shifted to another version of this room, and not a single thing about that felt off. I don't doubt at all that that was real. There's something about that one, and it's not just that it was weird. There was something slightly uncanny valley about it. It was slightly askew.
So, because I am a believer of the multiverse theory, which also makes me a believer of the consciousness theory, because I believe that basically everything is possible and there's realities for everything. Mm-hmm. And I do think there can be consciousness shifting in this reality. I wonder if it was like that, but you weren't fully grounded. So it was like half dream, half that.
I fell asleep frustrated and pissed off and thinking about my DR, but not trying to shift. So I think it wouldn't surprise me, but like I said, there was something about it that was not all the way right, and because now I have shifted, that's a really weird sentence, because I keep trying to convince myself maybe shifting isn't the same, but if I'm for real with myself, yes it is. Now that I have, I'm like, no, that feels different. I don't doubt a single detail of what happened when I woke up here in another reality, but it was like, something about that was...
That's how I feel about basically everything before opening my eyes in my peaky DR. Everything before that, I'm like, I don't know, because that one just felt so much more solid than the rest of them. Even the ones I've had since then, even the one with me in the shower where I know for sure that was a shift. Something about opening my eyes in my peaky DR, I think it's because that's where I was intending to go.
Yeah, it was solid. You were grounded.
Yeah. Shifting related dreams for me, I very seldom have DR related dreams. But I've had dreams, obviously, with, like, people from my DR in them. I had a dream, I was going to say not that long ago, but because I have time blindness, because I've been in a really bad slump the last several months. Several months ago, I had a dream that I was in this, like, pool situation at the beach with my family, and then, that's weird. Couple other things, the pool that I was in this dream, he was there, and the stairwell, and, like, this dream basically took place where I'm going, like, 2 days from now. But basically, I was just having this dream, and I saw Tommy, and I was like, okay, why is he here? And, like, I didn't know that I was dreaming, but I knew that, like, that was just kind of strange. And then the dream scene changed, and I was somewhere else. I think I was driving, and I saw him in the rearview mirror, but he wasn't next to me. Nobody was next to me. And I was like, And I just kept seeing him, but he felt a lot more solid than the rest of the dream. And then walking up steps in another part of the dream with a bunch of people, and he was there standing and watching me. And I went up to him. I was like, what are you doing here? And I, like, went to hug him, and he kind of, like, pushed me forward a little bit. He was like, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, don't interact with me. I'm not supposed to be here. And it just felt like he was watching me. Like, just observing me in my dream, like his higher self had stepped in, like, hello. So that's really interesting, but no, like, nothing like what Willits had. So
I had a fucking problem. All my dreams are just very
strange. I had a lot of, like, dreams with him in it, but not like that. What are you the most excited to do when you fully shift? What is your, like, number one thing you're most excited to do when you shift?
That's DR specific. The answer is different for every DR.
Top 2, because I know it's Marvel and Hogwarts.
So cheese. In my Marvel DR, I'm most excited to hug Tony and prove to myself he's alive. And in my Hogwarts DR, I am excited to hug Severus and Remus and prove to myself that they're alive. It's depressing, but it's also really true.
Mine's also very cheese. Mine is to look into the eyes of the man that I love in every form that I'm shifting for him in. Because his eyes are always going to be the same in every reality. So, I'm excited about that.
Yet here you're dating Freddy the Worm. Can't believe. Whichever of you, by the way, you have brought me joy. Whichever of you heard her say Freddy Thorn and thought she said Freddy the Worm, I laughed so hard at that. I actually, sprained a muscle. So thank you for believing she said that. Because also, she did say that so fast and mumbled, it did sound like she said Freddy the Worm.
It did.
And
it did.
I was so
Freddy
lost. I'm like, what
Thorn.
children's cartoon is Freddy the Worm from?
Okay. In the times you have mini-shifted or opened your eyes in your DR, was there any moment in the process of shifting in which you could feel the shift?
I'll let you go first. I went first on the last one.
Okay, so when I opened my eyes in my peaky DR, no. I was doing my method for 10 minutes. I had no symptoms. I literally was here, and then I was not. But it's weird because even with that one, some of my senses were still here. So even though I was seeing and, I had some of my senses there, some of them still remained here. Like a partial shift to, genuinely like a mini shift. And then I've had that in other times as well. When... Obviously, if I'm, falling asleep and then I wake up somewhere, I don't really feel that because it's just falling asleep and then waking up or becoming aware. But I didn't have any symptoms or anything like that. And then there was a time when I was sound testing Reverie, one of my subliminals, I felt myself shifting. And I can't explain what happened other than I genuinely was like, I'm about to shift. And it's this specific feeling that I've had before. And I can't explain it other than it feels like you're about to shift. And so I had symptoms then or some sort of something to let me know that it was about to happen. But with my biggest shifts, it tends to just be like this with no build-up or warning whatsoever. So stop putting so much emphasis on symptoms because they don't mean anything.
They really don't. My first 2 mini shifts, I felt it. I got the bed shakies, and I got the floaties, and I got the tinglies, and all that good shit. But when I opened my eyes in another reality, all I did was fall asleep. Didn't feel weird, just fell asleep, and then just woke up somewhere else. And when I mini shifted in April, it was like I was laying there trying to shift, and then all of a sudden I felt like I was in another room. Didn't feel shit. I just all of a sudden felt the air con from in front of me on the wall. While here, my vent is underneath of my bed and it does not turn on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to remember if there's ever been a time where I had the crazy symptoms where I felt like I'm spinning or falling or anything like that. Because like I said, there was a very specific feeling when I opened my eyes under the tree. But I don't think I've ever had crazy symptoms and then mini shifted with that before. But I could be wrong because it's been a long time since I've had crazy symptoms consistently. So, okay. Carly, that's me, hi. Will you share about, or are you planning in the future to talk about your astral projections that have started recently? Witwits, would you like to answer this question?
Carly contemplated before we came on here about if she should do that because it's a really dark and creepy experience for her. And if she chooses to speak about it, then I will support her. If she chooses not to, I will support her. Because as the person who heard all of it, I was thoroughly disturbed. So if she wants to talk about it, I'm going to take my earbud out until she signals me because I'm already going to have to hear it in editing. If she doesn't want to talk about it, I'll keep it in. Are you going to talk about it?
I am, but I'm not going to talk about the scary stuff first. Because it wasn't all bad. So the first time that I realized something was going on, because like I said, I did have that astral experience where it was us in chairs. The first time I had it, I was trying to shift somewhere, and I was getting like really stressed out. It was when I was trying to shift to my quiet fame DR, which I haven't talked about publicly. I probably will do at some point, but I was just doing a method, and then suddenly I got this visual in my head of this man dancing, like Killian dancing, this really funny dance, which was really strange. And I was like, that's weird, because that wasn't something that I imagined, and also I'm visualizing it in first person really, really well. And then after that, the next night I had the same thing happen, but it wasn't him, it was like somebody else dancing, and I kept like, it was almost like I was dreaming, but I was awake, because I was seeing things in first person, and I didn't have any control over it. And it was just people dancing, and like, it was really weird, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then it started to progress, and this was happening every single night. I guess for background,
I'm already creeped out.
For reference, I have been able to enter the vibrational state really, really easy since high school, and apparently people use that for things like astral projection. I've even had that the last like 4 nights in a row without attempting to. It just happens to me really easy. But I was trying to shift. You can take it out now if you're gonna get creeped out.
Put both hands up when you do that. I'm genuinely taking my earbud out.
So when I was trying to shift, I was doing a method where you visualize the person walking in, and you're like laying in bed using your 5 senses. You visualize this person walking in, and they like lay next to you, and then you just like are existing next to them. It's nothing gross. So I visualized him walking into my room when I was trying to shift to Peaky, and what's supposed to happen is he's supposed to come over and get in bed. So like, I was trying to visualize this step by step, but then it was like suddenly I was seeing things in first person very, very clearly without meaning to. Like, it just, I don't visualize very well. I very rarely visualize in first person. I was visualizing super clearly, super solid. It was immersive. That's the only word that I can think of to describe it. And instead of things going to plan and me leading my visualizations, it was like I was interacting with something that was already playing out. So he was like, we're gonna do something different, come with me. And I was just like, that's not scripted. So I stand up and I follow him walking through the halls and stuff, and it's not anything that I have ever visualized before, because again, I'm not good at visualizing. And then he takes me to stand outside of his study, which his study is like a really big room in my DR. Like, it's central to a lot of things that happen in my DR. And I was like, okay, I guess this is the method that I'm gonna walk into this room and things are gonna be fine. And that's how I'm gonna shift, I guess. I didn't realize that I was astral projecting until later, which I'll get to that. But he starts dancing, and I was like, what is going on with this dancing? I don't understand. And it's really unnerving to see someone as stoic as that man to just start dancing. And again, I had no control over it. And so he like motions for me to open the door, and I do. But as soon as I open the door, it's like I am staring from the ceiling down into this room that's very dingy, yellowed mattresses and blankets, a low-hanging ceiling fan. I was like eye level with the ceiling fan. Like yellowing wallpaper, just very dingy, and it felt horrible. Like, it felt disgusting. And it felt heavy. And I was like, nope. I opened my eyes here. I closed them, and I was like, I'm gonna try this again. So then I start visualizing him walking up to the study door with me, and it was third person, and then suddenly I'm like snapped back into first person visualizing, immersed again. And we walk into the study, and his face, he keeps doing one of these, and then his face just starts to like, not melt, but like his features started to just kind of like droop a little bit. Something didn't look right. And I opened my eyes here again, and then I closed them, and I tried, and it was third person. I was struggling to visualize, but I was doing my best. Snapped back into first person with peripheral vision. And I was still somewhat aware of my body here. And I was trying to look at this man's face, and I couldn't bring myself to look at his face, and every time I tried, I kept hearing something. And I was still aware of the subliminal playing and the earbuds that I was wearing. Suddenly the subliminal fades out completely. I lose all sense of like awareness of my body, and I go to look at this man's face, and then I'm hearing this sound, and it sounds like music, and I go, what is that? And I have to really focus in order to hear what's going on. And the more I focus, the more I can hear it, and it sounds like singing. And it's a voice that I recognize because Cillian Murphy has a song out called So New, from a movie that he did, and it's that voice. And I was like, what is this song? And I sat and I listened to it for like 20 seconds, and I was like, I don't recognize this song. What is this song? And I wasn't hearing my earbuds anymore. I was audibly hearing what was going on. And I felt like I was being pulled away from whatever was standing in front of me, being distracted. And then I forced my eyes open here. I was suddenly aware of everything again. It wasn't like I had shifted or fallen asleep. It was just like I was just immersed in something. And I've had that happen several times since, but I spoke with one of my friends who has astral projected a lot, and they were like, astral isn't always when you're just out of your body, like looking down at yourself sleeping. There's different levels to it. So it was like a baby astral projection experience, where I would go from visualizing really poorly in third person to being immersed in what I'm visualizing and not having control over of it at all. I have notes. Let me just make sure I touched on everything. Yeah, so I audibly heard singing to kind of like pull me out of it. And then since then I've had more, but it's not anything negative. And since I have cleansed myself, because I do think that whatever the negative entity was that attached to me through channeling was trying to present itself as Tommy, but knowing that I would trust that. I also want to point out that after that happened the next day, when I got up for the day, I felt horrible. I felt like I'd been hit by a bus. I was angry. It wasn't good. And I spoke to my friend who astral projects, Harley, and she was like, you need to cleanse yourself. As soon as I cleansed myself, my headache went away and I felt better. I didn't feel this weird hungover feeling anymore. I felt better. So there's a lot more like little things that happened with it, but that's like the big one.
Okay, let me put this back in. I pity the version of me who's editing that's gonna have to hear all of that.
I'm so sorry that took so long too. I forget how long that story is. God damn it, the next question is also a thing that I'm gonna have to explain. I'm not gonna have a voice tomorrow. What was the whole probability with shifting thing? I'm gonna make this short so that I do have a voice tomorrow.
I'm gonna keep myself the fuck out of it.
So shifters who have shifted before obviously don't have 100% success rate. You know, they can still do the same method, the same everything to a T, yet they still won't shift. Methods that have worked before don't always work. And I was like, that's weird. Like, why does that happen? And I've been trying to figure that out for a really long time. And I figured maybe it was down to timing or something. And then I was like, because I believe in the multiverse, there's a version of me shifting to my DR every single second, even when I'm not intending to. And I'm like, okay, so what's the difference between the version of me that shifts every night when I lay down to try and shift and the version of me that stays here? Like, what's the difference between them? And I realized it's about probability. So obviously, if you've shifted before, you're more likely to shift again. Like, the probability of it increases. The more aligned you are with your DR, the higher the probability that you're going to shift. But the probability is never zero. The best thing that you can do for shifting is just boost your chances through things like alignment and confidence. So you are shifting literally at every single moment. It's just a matter of making your probability the biggest it can be in order to shift, if that makes any sense. That's why I said earlier, you can still shift with blockages. It just might hinder your probability a little bit. That didn't take as long as I thought. Look at me go. Anyways, what methods do you recommend, or what methods have brought you the most success, and how do you find what works for you?
The any moment method that Carly made. It is the method I was using when I opened my eyes, which is my broken record thing to keep saying. And it was also the method I was using when I mini shifted in April. I like that it has easy to remember and not a lot of steps. I like that it's not super complicated and there's not a shit ton of visual, and if I don't want to do the little bit of visual bit, I can take it out because I did, and then I still did it. And I like pairing it with the subliminals that she makes, because she's so smart and she does all the things and she's so good at them, and I can't really shift without her subs anymore. I stopped using Alunir because I started using your stuff, and someone on my TikTok live the other night said that your subs are better than Alunir's meditations, and I agreed.
Okay, but listen, I love Alunir. You do not have to bash Alunir to love me, but thank you.
She's great. She's really talented, and I love her, and when I want guided meditations, that's where I go, but I use your stuff more often.
Me too. Any Moment, obviously, that's the one that I also opened my eyes with and have made the most progress, like the most consistent progress with. The Word Method was my go-to for a really long time. I mini shifted a lot with that. There's a guided meditation. It's a shifting hypnosis. I used to think it was the Julia method, but I think it's just a shifting hypnosis by Rose Giatti. I don't know how to say her last name on YouTube.
Is the Julia method and the I Am method the same method with two different names, or is it two different methods?
I have no idea. Most methods are genuinely the same thing, just with different names slapped on it.
It's all just different meditations, basically. You're just meditating.
Because if you think about it, people shit on the Raven method, but they like the Word Method. It's counting and affirming. It's the same thing. It just has a different name and like slightly different steps. Anyways, I also really like the Every Moment method, which is one that I made. And what I'm doing now, which I don't even think I've told you what I'm doing now, because I started it like 2 days ago, but that feels nice, and I'll make a TikTok on that. If you want to hear about that, I can tell you about that too.
I was about to say, bitch, excuse me, I'm supposed to have premium access to your life. Oh yeah, I'm cutting it out. I lose motivation a lot because I am of the mental illness, and when my mental illness when my mental illness becomes too much, I lose motivation. And I think when you kind of lose motivation, my first and foremost thing is don't beat the hell out of yourself for it. Doesn't mean it's gone forever. It means like some other stuff has taken precedent. But when I want to get my motivation back, I actually have started to realize I can't force it, because when you force it, you're just gonna be fucking sad and because it's not working. Maybe some people can force motivation. I mean, there's the easy ways of like watch edits of people in your DR, watch or read the media that it's from, read over your script, make a Pinterest board, a playlist, something like. But to me, that does not work anymore this far into my journey. So I'm going to say this like I'm assuming someone who's been shifting for almost 5 years has said it. So don't force it. If it's supposed to be there, it'll be there. If it's not there, take a break. I know that this is not coming from someone you want to hear this from. I've tried to shift a dozen or less times in the last couple of years, but that's because I wasn't motivated and other shit was top priority. But if you notice, when I have actually tried to shift in the last couple of years, there's been significant progress. It was like a shift of nothing and then opening my eyes, a shift of nothing and then mini shifting somewhere else. Like, I know if I was shifting all together in a row, I probably would have shifted in 2023. Don't think I should have, and glad I did not. But I don't think you can force motivation. I think you have to give it time. You have to let it come on its own, and then it'll hit you like a fucking train. I think if you don't have it, then wait for it to come back on its own, because it'll hit you in the most unsuspecting way, and it'll be intense. And that feeling means so much more than forcing it.
Yeah, how do you stay motivated? You don't. It comes in waves. I was talking with one of my friends who has shifted multiple times earlier today. It comes in waves. It comes and goes. You don't have to force it. It will come back to you. And if the more you push for it, as someone who has spent months chasing butterflies, it's just going to make you burn out and then make it really hard and make you apathetic sometimes. So don't do that. Ways to help motivate you or connect: listening to music that reminds you of your DR, finding new songs that like really resonate with you for your DR, making a new DR altogether, changing something about your script, role-playing, Pinterest boards, daydreaming, because I feel like as shifters, a lot of times we forget that it's okay to just daydream without trying to shift. Like, you are allowed to just daydream and like want things. So there's that. How do you stay focused during a shifting I
don't. I have ADHD. I I really don't. Either I'm having a good day or a bad day. I did, however, I have a theory, actually, and if this is problematic, I'll cut it out, but I'm asking, like, you specifically. If those gummies that I took earlier before I started working actually worked, considering I got a bunch of work done, I felt them start to wane after a few hours. I saw people with ADHD. Some people said that it worked 2 hours, some said 4, whatever. On days where I don't work, I thought about the idea of taking those gummies like 30 minutes to an hour before I go to bed to see if they help me focus on shifting.
You should. I take stress gummies before I shift.
I was gonna say, it's not like when people take melatonin, I don't condone that, if they're taking that just to help them shift. But if it's to help me focus, I'm wondering if that may cook with some gas.
Yeah, I take a stress gummy before I try and shift, because when I get crazy symptoms, I stress myself out. Or if I'm just having like a really stressed out night, like it helps me kind of find my zone, I guess. You just have to bring your awareness back if you get distracted. You don't have to force yourself to stay focused. You're a human being. You don't have to be perfect to shift. You really don't. You have to show up. So if you feel yourself starting to drift, like your thoughts starting to drift, just do what you can to bring it back. Or if you're tired and you're like dozing off, just let yourself sleep. That's okay too, because you can still shift even after you've fallen asleep. Next one, I'm just going to answer super quick. Is it possible to shift with doubt? Yes. It might make your probability of shifting a little bit lower. You can still shift with doubt. How do you deal with doubt? You do what I do, where you decide once every few months that you're just going to give up on shifting. Not even because you don't believe in it, but because you convince yourself that you don't believe in it, and you convince yourself that you and everybody that you love is lying to you, and then you're just like, I quit. We've reached the point of the pod. I'm tired.
I'm going to say something that I've started giving advice-wise to people who get readings from me. You don't have to overcome your fears or get rid of your doubts in order to shift. We've technically shifted, and we have doubts and fears. I think the difference is reflecting on them, accepting them, and walking hand in hand with them through your journey, because they will go away in their own time.
Yep. And I mean, I'm someone who's opened my eyes and had so many experiences, and I'm still like, what if I'm lying to myself? Because my imposter syndrome gets in my way.
Queen of Gaslight.
Fucking literally. Advice on trying to shift when you are tired or burnout from CR life. And what do you do when you are too emotionally dysregulated to visualize or focus on a method? How do you reset without losing momentum? I'm going to answer this one first because, brother, something that I've realized the last few days, I've known it for months, but I've only admitted it to myself here recently. Some nights I lay down to try and shift, and my fiance's throwing elbows, or just being really loud, or my son won't go to sleep, or I'm just so fucking tired. I don't need to be trying to shift. I just need to go the fuck to sleep. If I'm emotionally dysregulated, is that really the time for me to be like, I'm gonna go to my DR? No, just go the fuck to sleep.
I feel owed an apology. Do you know how many fucking times she's been in that headspace, and I've told her to take a break, and she'll look me in the eyes and go, fuck you, I'm not taking a break.
No, I'm not even talking about, like, taking a break. I'm talking about, like, I feel fine laying down to try and shift, and then suddenly there's this, even if I'm having like a great day, like I think last night, I was having a pretty decent day yesterday, other than the whole YouTube debacle, and I was like, I'm gonna shift and it's gonna be great, and I was feeling really confident, and I was, and then I woke up and I tried to shift again, still fine, like still in a decent headspace, but I was too hot, and I was getting like overstimulated because the blankets were on my feet wrong, and I started like doing that thing where you thrash because you're like stuck in the sheets, where I just like kick a leg frantically, and I was like, I don't need to be trying to shift right now. It's not gonna work because I am too fucking stressed out. And I still tried anyway, and I didn't get anywhere. So
I think recognizing when you shouldn't is important. Yeah, that's what I have to do. That's why I've taken such long breaks, and I think it is because, and I know that there's people who are going to watch this and be like, you don't get to talk, you've barely tried to shift in the last couple of years, but honestly, it's because my mental health has been so fucking poor that I sometimes can't. And I live in a house where it is in a constant state of 81. Not a joke. She has seen my thermostat. It was 81 before I started filming this, and with the door closed, it has risen 7 degrees. I am sitting in 88 degree heat right now with a face full of makeup. And there's a pop-up on my computer covering poor Carly's face. And there's sometimes I just can't. I'm too overstimulated. I'm too mentally ill. I'm too upset. I'm too tired, whatever. And I used to shame myself because I couldn't understand how I could go from someone who was trying to shift 1 to 3 times a day that you'd have to like bully me into taking breaks. But honestly, if I lay down and I just don't feel like it, if I know I'm not going to put any energy into it, because to me, other people are different. They can just have intention and be fine. I'm not the bitch who can lay down and go, I'm shifting, and then go somewhere. I can't do that. I can't Nosferatu slumber and then wake up in my marbled yard. That's not how that works for me. I can't just do this. Like, I can't just wake up somewhere after just going to bed going, all right, I'm doing it. Every time I have ever tried to shift, I've been filled with emotion. I have been focusing on a place of emotion, the draw to a person or a place that I'm emotionally connected to. If I lay down and the only emotion I have is utter exhaustion or deep depression, I'm not shifting anywhere because I can't. So everyone's different, but when I don't feel like it, I don't feel like it.
I feel like that also goes with another question we have, which is how do you balance your CR and shifting? You make time for shifting. You don't make time for your CR. Shifting exists within your CR. It's not the other way around. So prioritize your CR and then, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You were born into this reality for a reason, and I'm not even going to touch the perma-shifting conversation. Even if you are a perma-shifter, you were born into this reality so that you could find out about perma-shifting. You were put here to begin with for a reason, whether that was finding shifting or to live a life here, whatever your belief is. I know I was put here for a reason, and I used to put this reality on the back burner. This was secondary to everything I was doing everywhere else. But I have so much here to be grateful here for, so much that I love here. The love of my life is in this reality. A woman I dreamed of for decades that I did not think was real is here in this reality. I'm not going to back burner that shit. I have parents that love and support me. I have siblings that care about me. I have friends that care about me. I have you guys. I'm not going to be that bitch that puts this world on a back burner ever again because I'm desperate to get the fuck out because I didn't realize what I had. And I don't want to be that bitch again. So, honestly, this is my priority, this one here. Shifting is supposed to add to the experience of my life, not take over my life. And I think that that's why I'm not bothered about how little I've tried to shift the last few years, because who I was before that was someone who did not care very much about this life and only cared about shifting and getting out. And now I realize shifting is supposed to aid my experience of this life, not take away and take control of it. And I really don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
We're at the point, if you like watch my face while you're speaking,
I know you're looking at me going.
But we only have less than 10 questions left.
I'm really proud. I would like to point out we had 62 questions when we started this, and we only had less because she condensed everything.
I'm just that bitch. Do you find it difficult to shift? Do you find it more difficult to shift when your SO is sleeping next to you? I become too aware of my surroundings and they snore like a trucker.
I have a solution to this. She's not allowed to sleep
with me.
Throw them away. She's not allowed to sleep with me. When my wife comes to see me, we have separate beds now. She stayed in an Airbnb when she came to see me last time, and we booked a place with 2 rooms. Because I said, I love you more than life itself, but sleeping next to you is a horrendous experience. Because she snores really badly, and she sleeps on her back, so I get elbow to the boob all night. And I can't handle it. I have sad boob when she does that. So out of, 10 days she was here last time? Mm-hmm. Out of the 10 days that she was here, we shared a bed twice. And the second time, my sister was staying with us in the other room. And I woke her up after an hour and went, I love you to death. go sleep with my sister, get out of my room, because they both snore and they won't wake each other up. So they slept in the same bed together so that I could have peace and fucking quiet. And the one night that I did sleep with her through the night, I had maybe 2 hours of sleep because she was snoring horrendously. I know eventually she's going to watch these. She still hasn't yet, but eventually she'll see these. Yeah. Listen, I love you so much. You are the center of my world, the moon of my life, but you snore like a fucking trucker. And I can't. And I've told her before, when we move in together, if we move in together ever, we are moving into a 2-bedroom house. I'm not fucking with that shit. You can sleep in there, I'll sleep in here, we'll snuggle before bed, and we'll reconvene in the morning.
The moon.
Have you been holding that in since I said moon of my life? Is that when you started holding that in?
I sleep next to a man. And this, the month of Pride. Unfortunate. I know. I love him very much. Very much.
The worm.
Very much. This man, he grinds his teeth in his sleep. He snores. He elbows me in the face. He does this thing where he'll put his arm up and he'll start doing one of these. And when it goes down, it's just like, bam, to the forehead.
Oh.
On my side of the bed. On my pillow. I've gotten used to it. I sleep with earbuds every single night, even when I'm not trying to shift to play a subliminal. That's part of the reason I started making subliminals at first, before I realized I was so passionate about it. I was like, I need something. Something's gotta fucking give. You just gotta roll with the punches, quite literally. I've changed my script in the past few months so that when I first wake up in my DR, Beth has been in bed with me, like, before. So, because it's my first night there, and I'm living with my friend, so she's like, oh my god, I'm gonna snuggle you tonight. I'm like, you know what, that's great. So now, anytime I feel like my fiance elbowing me, I'm like, fucking Beth. What the fuck, Beth? Come on now. Do better. So
that does help a lot.
It really does.
I've tried to shift in bed with my sister before, because we tried to have, like, a one-off script where we were trying to shift to Hogwarts at the same time. So we had a shifting sleepover, and she came to my house, and I can't sleep in the bed with her because I will have to script in, like, oh, for whatever reason, I've, like, slept at her house, as in my DR. My sister lives in Hogsmeade. And so I'm like, oh, she's, like, walking distance away. I'm sure I sleep at her house sometimes. So we had to script in that, like, we'd be in the same bed because I was sleeping at her place instead of, like, going home to the castle that night. And I have to do that. And I'm just like, damn, this bitch again bumping into me. But I can't do that because my sister has the tendency, and I'm calling her out because I know that she watches these, she will scoot back booty first. And so I have to face the other direction. But then she gets mad because I wake her up because I'm giggling, because I'm like, our butts are kissing. Like, I can't. I'm the older sister, and I wake her up because I'm giggling because our butts are smooching in the middle of the night. But it's because she's used to sleeping in bed with her boyfriend, so she's, like, backing up to get towards him. And I'm like, I'm not him. I know he's a beautiful woman, but get away from me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also horrible to sleep next to because I also snore. Not horrible.
You
not
kick
every
in your
night,
sleep.
But, like, why was I about to fucking say that? I do.
I know you do.
We're lovers.
No, I think that was from my Salem DR. That was not private DR shit. I just got a very, very vivid, intense moment of realizing you used to beg your mom to come and spend the night at my house. And you would walk over to my house in your little pajamas with your little blanket and a stuffed elephant?
I have a stuffed elephant.
Ew, do you really?
Yeah, it's the one Jared showed you a few days ago. It's red and yellow. Got popcorn on it.
I thought that was his. No, it's like a stuffed gray elephant that your mother got for you. And you'd come over to my house in your little pajamas, and we would watch Disney movies. I feel like specifically we watched The Little Mermaid a lot. And you were determined to sleep in bed with me. And I hated it because you would kick. So I would crawl out of bed and I would sleep in the floor and tell you that I just fell out of bed because I didn't want you to get sad that you'd kicked me so much I couldn't sleep.
He's in my space right now.
Not me having a realization on the pod. Again. All my realizations are about Carly in my Salem DR. They're all about us growing up together. They are the easiest realizations that I have.
Or me getting smooched by my man.
Two of my realizations from that DR are really about that. I need it to be the Salem version of him. I need you to catch up on Marvel. I'm fucking begging you. I
don't know how to tell you. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I know that it's him. And it's so familiar.
I'm physically fucking begging you to catch up. I don't even need you to catch up on everything.
Been around. It's one of the versions that's been around that I've been trying to place.
The besto friendo of my life-o. I am telling you. I don't even need you to watch everything. Okay? Just watch the stuff that's relevant. So just watch, like, honestly, just watch Avengers, Age of Ultron, the last 2 Avenger movies, and then watch fucking WandaVision and then skip to Agatha all along. You can catch up on everything else later. I just need you to understand what's going on with the Wanda to Agatha pipeline. Then watch that, and then we can fucking go.
I will, because this man...
He kissed your fucking soul out. I watched it happen. When he kissed you, he pulled you back by your fucking arm, and his other hand came in and, like, fisted in the roots of your fucking hair down by the nape of your neck. And he kissed your fucking soul out. I watched this man kiss your fucking soul out. I don't just call him Casanova because I think it's fucking funny. Like, I call him Casanova for a fucking reason. The man doesn't just own a bookstore and rizz up my best friend and then get called Casanova because he's a fucking man. Like, that's not what fucking happened.
I just don't want to be older in this DR, dude.
You're eventually gonna have to be.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, how old is he?
He's in his 40s.
Oh, okay, I thought he was, like, pushing 60, to be honest with you.
No, he's the same age as our moms, and our mother's... My mom's 49. I think that your mother might be, like, 47, 48. In my DR, I believe I am 28 years old, and I think you're about 24, 25, something like that.
Okay.
If you're older, you're only older by, like, a year.
Okay, I can do that, because that's how old he is here.
Yeah,
I need to know what he looks like. You gotta send me a picture after this.
You know those pictures of him where his hair is, like, essentially completely fucking gray? It's that. Because I feel like I have this... I just want you to go on
Pinterest and, like, find a picture and you're like, this is the one. Oh, my God.
I'll do that. I'll do that after we finish the pod.
What crystals do you recommend for shifting, and do you practice witchcraft?
This is my green aventurine. I had it in my distance. This was like the big one that shifters talked about. Everyone talked about a lot of things, but this was the big one. Green aventurine was the big one that everyone talked about. And I bought this because it was all over Shift Talk. And so I wear it when I'm feeling shifty. I also like that it's green because Harry Potter TikTok.
I like moldavite and selenite and obsidian and angelite. Those are my favorite crystals. Not even just for shifting, but just for life in general. So
yeah. Also, yes, we do practice witchcraft.
We do. I don't as often as I would like, but I do. I'm also getting my son in on it. He likes doing simmer pots. He likes cleansing with me. And he likes
giving me readings where he doesn't know what the card is. He's just like, you have this one.
2 of Cups.
And it's really scary when he'll pull out, like, an identifier card for one of our people. He'll be like, Mommy, this one's for you. And then it's, like, the Page of Pentacles, and he'll start laughing. And I'm like, hey, you're a psycho.
When you say, Dad is home. Advice on making your own affirmations. Do you have any advice on that?
I was not listening. I was sitting here thinking about how your son's a psycho. What was it?
Do you have any advice on making your own affirmations?
Lie to yourself. Gaslight yourself into thinking that you've done things and start telling yourself, I've already done this, I'm going to do it again, until your brain believes you.
So my biggest affirmation is awake or asleep, I will shift at any moment. And I made that because I really, I was talking, I think it was Shay, was like, you were shifting awake actively, but because you were so convinced you were doing an asleep method, you blocked yourself off. And from that moment on, I dropped shifting, like, awake or asleep. I just try and shift. I don't do awake methods, I don't do asleep methods, I just fucking shift. And then shifting with Rhea always talks about anticipating that you're going to shift at any moment. And I was like, ooh, I really like that. So I mashed the two together, awake or asleep. I will shift at any moment. And then I just forced myself to believe it. So, and that's what happened.
I just realized we're dumb.
Eyes. Why?
Because we didn't do shifting update progress.
We'll do it at the end. They can wait. We're almost done. And then we can talk about where we're going tonight and stuff when we do that.
Cool.
Is it possible to shift if you can't visualize in first person? Yes, you don't have to visualize at all to shift. I didn't when I opened my eyes. Some people can't visualize at all. I have Fantasia. Yeah, me too. Like, they can't visualize at all. They can still shift. So if visualizing is stressing you out, don't do it. There's other things you can do, like counting, affirming, breath work, things of that nature. Some messy questions. Spicy.
We have messy questions?
We do. Have you ever been friends with shift talkers who have made story times and then came out and basically said they made it all up? Did that shake your confidence in shifting being real at all? Also, feel free to name names. Carly, I'm looking at you. I love you. Or have you lost friends from shift talk who gave up on shifting, or have watched people leave shift talk, and how do you deal with it, and how does it affect your thoughts on shifting?
They name dropped you. You go first.
So, I haven't been friends with any shift talkers who have come out and been like, I was lying, because I'm not friends with people who lie. Like, I thought you were just saying I'm not friends with people. If I suspect that someone is not being truthful about their shifting journey, I'm just not going to engage with that person at all. And after the experiences that I've had, it does feel very easy to tell the difference between people who have lived it and people who haven't. It is not my place to speculate, but I'm not going to be buddy-buddy with those people. I have had people in my personal life, former friends, who have told me that they've shifted and were clearly fucking lying. Yeah. Not friends with those people anymore. So yeah. It doesn't really matter. And how does it affect my thoughts on shifting, or does it shake my confidence? No. No. I don't let other people affect my shifting journey, so. Also, one more thing. Not people coming out and saying that they were lying, but people who are like, I had a dream. I shifted for 3 months, but it was ungrounded and I don't remember it. No, the fuck you didn't. No, the fuck you didn't. There are some people who are so desperate to have something happen. Anything happen, that they are calling everything left, right, pulling shit out of their ass, and they're like, oh my god, I fucking shifted. And it's like, no, bitch, you didn't. And by doing this, you were basically reaffirming to yourself that you can't do it. It's not a shift. It doesn't mean you're never going to shift. It just means that wasn't. So stop trying to... I don't fucking know. They just want something to happen, and then they call it a win, and it's like... No, Clear. The condensation's gonna come get you. I'm tired.
I've never been friends with anyone that came out as admitting that they lied. I did remember people, not remember people, but like I remember people who did come out and say that they were faking. I don't remember their names. I know for a while I actually followed, I cannot remember her name for the life of me. There was a girl who came out in summer of 2021 who was a big shift talker, who came out as lying, or like she got exposed for lying or something, but like everyone was extra pissed because she kept telling everyone that Draco had been assaulted in her DR. Do you remember that? I don't remember who she was. I just remember like being with Charlie at a hotel and like people blowing up my comments being like, is shifting even real? Because like this girl had basically been telling stories about Draco like surviving SA. I don't even remember who it was by. It was like by one of the girls he knew or something, that like he had survived SA and like she found him having panic attacks about it and blah blah blah. And she was lying for attention. And then she tried to come back to TikTok like nothing happened, and shifters found her and were like, got you, bitch. And it was like a year later.
Yeah.
No, I don't know anyone
remember who
that
it was, but
I don't remember who it was. I know it was like a young girl with dark hair. That's all I remember.
If you remember, name drop.
Yeah, there were people who like admitted they were lying, or like people said that they were lying who were shifters I'd never heard of, and I don't remember who they were. It's usually young girls who were like 19. And they're like, I was faking when I was like 15. I have had people that I'm not gonna name drop because I'm not Carly, and there are people that have been / are currently people on Shift Talk that I don't think shifted. And I'm gonna keep it to my
name drop because I love you guys too much and I'm not trying to get canceled.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get canceled. People will get pissed. I think every shifter in the community who makes content has like theories on who they think are telling the truth or not. There are always going to be people that I know 100%. Nothing in me questions CAD. This is just like the episode where we talk about how much we like CAD. I never question CAD. There's something about watching the look in CAD's eyes when they talk about shifting that I know they're not full of shit. There is something about like, there's something about it. There is something, and I don't know, it's a very different look, but I know you're gonna know what I'm talking about. I have never questioned Atticus once, because there is a look in his eyes of, he has seen and been through some shit. I have never questioned him even once, and I've never questioned you. I've never questioned any of my friends, and I feel like most other people I've questioned at least once. I feel like the only like big creator I don't think I've ever like truly questioned even a little bit, I believe C completely. I watched C go through extreme trauma and become a very different person. And I don't really question Court anymore. I did for like a half a second, but not anymore. It was like during like the early days, during like all the drama.
Yeah.
But honestly, she's grown so much, and if she was faking, I think she would have owned up to it by now because she's grown so much.
Yeah.
So I don't question her at all anymore.
Have never, I believe Liz without a doubt, without a fucking doubt, because the way that Liz talks about like that first experience of what it felt like to open her eyes, I'm like, I felt that too, and nobody seems to talk about that on Shift Talk, like the overwhelm and like the intensity and the emotions of that very first moment. It's always like I opened my eyes and I was there and I freaked out and then I was just cool. Liz was like, that was fucking scary, and I'm like, yes. So the way
when
that
she
Liz
shifted,
speaks
it
about
was crazy for everybody because it had been years.
Yeah. And like the language that Liz uses to talk about it, never once questioned it, which brings me to my next question that's on the list. Some story times on Shift Talk seem so made up and too much like fanfic. It's obvious sometimes who's making it up. Thoughts on that? Here's my thing. If it motivates people and it's not hurting anybody, not my place to call it out. Just don't watch it. Because it's, at the end of the day, why would you take away somebody's motivation? Whether they're lying or not, if they're motivating people, okay. I don't understand why you would lie, but like, it's nobody's place to be like, you're wrong, you know?
Yeah, I think it's, even if someone, and there's been people, and we've had conversations as of late, like people we used to believe that we're like, never mind. Not
talking
only
about it with friends is fine, but just don't bring it to the internet kind of thing.
Yeah, talking to your friends about it is fine. My friends know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about when I say this. There are people that sometimes it is obvious, but also I sometimes am a really bad judge of shit like that because I forget some people are so not afraid to script it to be as dramatic as possible and to be as main character as possible, which if that's what you're up to, I encourage it. This is your life. Be the main character of your own life. And sometimes I forget people will on purpose script in that they have like main character syndrome in their DR and that their DR is dramatic and interesting. And I completely forget that happens. So some people, their story times could sound completely unbelievable, but it's just that they've scripted in that it is that dramatic. So I've learned not to question it because those people could just be that kind of person.
I also want to note, this isn't an open invitation for you to drop comments speculating on who you think is lying and who isn't.
Yeah, no, again, that's not what this is.
If it's motivating people, just leave it be. If it was me 2 years ago, I would have been like, and this bitch is lying, and this bitch is lying. It doesn't matter. Genuinely, it's not going to change your journey any. It doesn't fucking matter. Mm-hmm. Biggest pet peeves in the shifting community.
toxic positivity, making it sound like you are never allowed to feel negative about shifting at all, that you're not allowed to feel sad that you haven't shifted, that you're not allowed to be angry or frustrated, that you're not allowed to be upset when you wake up here after a failed shifting attempt, that you're not allowed to post online about being sad or frustrated, that you are demotivating people by posting about missing people in your DR, that it's demotivating to post about how long you've been trying and that it's really frustrating, that basically having any emotion that isn't just extreme hope and happiness is demotivating and negative. I think that honestly, the worst things to happen to this community was the huge tidal wave of forced toxic positivity. And if someone dared to have a slightly negative human emotion because they are human beings who have fucking feelings, people would try to cancel them. And I think that's one of the worst things to happen to this community, because we're people and we have feelings, and shifting is a very overwhelming, emotional, intense, life-changing experience. And if you didn't have any negative emotions about that, I would think you weren't a person.
My biggest pet peeves, I have a few of them. Number one, we've already talked about it, liars. Because why lie? Like, what is that going to gain you? Maybe followers, but like, then when you actually do shift for the first time, no one's going to be excited with you. It doesn't make any sense. People who steal scripts, I'm never getting over that. Never getting over that. Bitch, if you're watching this. People acting like you aren't allowed to have boundaries, or like you somehow owe them something. Like, story time, something really traumatic happened in my DR. Oh my god, story time. No. And then lastly, this is a big one that's been going on recently. People acting like it's not okay to not want to discuss your significant other with them, or to have boundaries around that. Acting like it's not okay to be jealous or just not want to hear about it. As human beings, we have human emotions. Lilith, shh.
I'm just wondering if this is about both of us or just you.
Both of us. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
People acting like, how do I even word this? I've seen people being like, it's weird if you're jealous. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm so sorry that you don't have the connection that some of us have, that make it to where it is painful to hear about things like that. So we're not going to be negative. If you're negative, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those of us who just don't want to witness it, because something in my soul cracks a little bit every time I see somebody shifting for Tommy. I can't do it. And I wish I could, and I wish I was excited, like with everyone I shifted for before, where I could be like, oh my god, this is so exciting and we have so much in common. Something in my soul hurts a little bit every single time, and I'm just not going to put myself through that, because I don't have to. And it's okay that I feel that, because I'm a human being. So if I don't want to discuss that with you, I'm not going to. And you're not going to change my mind on that. So
I completely agree with that. I think that I never used to get it, and then when I started channeling, I started getting it, because this is as close as we're going to get to just sending text messages to these people. And you get a really strong bond when you feel like someone's in the room with you. And I'll be vulnerable on here for a second so people know how serious I am. You got Snapchats from me. Was it 2 days ago you got crying Snapchats from me?
Yep.
Yeah. 2 days ago she got crying Snapchats from me. And I was trying to do a reading for a client, and I have felt fucking Professor Ass Snape in my space violently for the last 6 days. And it has been so intense that no one else of mine has been able to really get around, which is why I was surprised Arthur was here earlier, because no one else has been able to get through. I haven't missed anyone else, thought about anyone else, nothing. I don't know how he got in. I think Tommy opened a door and then let him in and then closed it and left and gone to your house. And he was so in my space. He was actively stopping me from doing readings for other people because he wanted to talk. Well, I had to get her involved because I'm bad at doing readings for myself. And she did a reading for me, and he said all this really emotional stuff that I don't feel comfortable repeating because it was so soul-bearing. And I was actively crying. This was the night before the crying Snapchats, and I was crying alone in the dark because it was so soul-bearing and gut-wrenching of him. It was really heartbreaking shit about me. And then the next night, I sat down to try to do this reading for this client that I've been trying to do for days. And I just could not get through. And so when that happens, I do like a general ask to the room of like, is someone else here who's like trying to get a word in edgewise? And it came out yes. And I just kind of felt like he was in the room. Like it felt like he was like hovering over me. Like it was almost hard to breathe. And I out loud, I was like, if this is you, I need you to give me a sign. And all I did was shuffle one time, and the card spit out about 3 feet away from me on my bed, face up, and it was Sev's card. And I burst into like really, really heartbroken tears because it just felt like he was piggybacking. I'm trying not to cry because I have mascara on, but it felt like he was piggybacking off of the shit he said the night before. And she got, I'd say, at least 10 minutes worth of snaps from me crying because it just felt desperately heartbreaking. It felt like, please God, acknowledge that I'm here. And it was so painful that I had to actually put the deck down and just like cry for a little while before I could even like do my shit. And I acknowledged that he was there and told him he could stay as long as he just let me work. And after that, I was able to completely do everything just fine. And it was just, I'm like my throat actually feels tight even trying to say it. You get so connected to these people and you feel them in the room with you. And I understand that like other people shift for people that I shift for. But when you feel a person in the room with you to the point that you're fucking crying, you don't want to hear about people shifting for them. I have slightly an easier time hearing about Sev because I've been hearing about him a lot over the years. I have mutuals or people that I follow that shift for Sev. And there's something about Sev that I'm very able to like detach him from other versions because I feel like my version of Sev's very specific. But I've had other instances with like Arthur or Remus or whoever, like people that like I have felt in my space and cried over and like felt like they're in my fucking soul, and then have people come to me and talk to me about the people we have in common.
Unprompted.
Unprompted repeatedly. And look, I am completely fine if you want to find like kinship in my content, or if you shift for these people that I'm also shifting for, I'm not going to block you. I don't hate you. I don't have a problem with you.
And you're not going to attack them because there's some people who do that. That's not okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to attack them. I honestly probably won't even say anything to you about it because I'm so worried about hurting other people's feelings about this subject that I'll probably just like let myself get a stomachache about it and not say anything to you. But it really is gut-wrenching to hear people talk to me about people that I feel that connected with and can't just call up on the fucking phone. People that I've waited years to be in the same room with. And to hear them talk about them, I'm like, this feels like getting punched in the throat.
With mine, so I shift for Tommy and then multiple other variants of Cillian Murphy. The only one that bothers me is Tommy. And it's a matter of, it feels like if someone were to talk to me about like my husband, like it's not a nice feeling. Indeed, it's because I am so connected and have had such a deep connection for a really long time. It's just, and I had never had it before him. Something about it, it feels like a hey girly text in a weird way. I'll never be nasty to you if you approach me and you're like, hey, I also shift for him, here's a bunch of fucking details. I'm not going to be nasty to you, but I am going to feel nauseous and probably cry about it to Lilith and make it Lilith's problem.
Everything about Carly's life is my problem. If you ever wonder, I am so
too,
much
so don't even.
I'm so much her problem that she left me alone in a room to go say hi to her man when he came home from work, and her small child ran into the room and said, don't worry, mommy, I'll watch Lilith, I'll take care of Wiwitz. And he sat there with me because he was so terrified of me being alone that he sat and talked to me about Minecraft for many minutes because he just knew it was someone's in that family's job to babysit me. and I have babysat her kid when she's left the room. At this point, I live at their fucking house. Like, I am their problem and she is my problem.
But yeah, so, like, I'm never gonna be nasty. Something in my soul breaks a little bit every time, and I don't like to hear about it. I don't even like it to be alluded to, because it just, something about me, it feels heartbreaking in a really weird way. And I wish that it didn't. I wish that I could be like, oh my god, this is so exciting. But I feel like those of you who probably have that sort of connection understand what I mean when it's like, I don't want to discuss it. I don't.
Yeah, it's too hard.
No. So we have 4 questions left. Personal questions. What do you drive in your MCU DR, if you drive at all?
I drive Tony crazy.
Period. Okay.
I don't drive, but I want my father to teach me to drive, because Happy is my dad, so I want him to teach me to drive, and then I'm going to take all of Tony's most expensive cars and crash them, because I'm going to be a bad driver.
Have you written a letter to Tony or reached out like you did to Remus back in the day, and have you had any return contact from him?
No, because I channel now, so if I want to hear from him, I just do that, and also because when I did that, I set a letter on fire in my house, and it smelled like burning shit for 2 days in my bedroom, so I decided not to do that.
Period.
And if I want to hear from him, I call up Carly, and I'm like, hey, can you contact my man?
And I say, yep. Is your Peaky DR modern? No, it is not. Would you ever shift to the past? Yes. Would you ever shift to the past, like a period DR? You do, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, our Peaky DR is modern.
But shifting to the past.
I know, they said, is the Peaky DR modern? You said no.
Oh, yes, it is modern.
I'm like, our Peaky DR set in 2024, brother.
Yeah, it is modern.
Yeah.
And yes, I would shift to the past. I actually have like a DR idea in the works. I haven't even told you about this because it's like very bare bones, very baby DR. Like 1700s, but like not problematic 1700s. There's been some changes made.
Oh, good lord, girl. I have DRs that are technically in the past. My Bridgerton DR is period. But I moved my Peaky to be modern because it's parallel to hers, and hers was modern. My Stranger Things DR originally was going to be set in the 80s, but I decided to move it up to modern day, and I'm not kidding. This is exactly my reason, because I wanted to be able to force Hopper to listen to Sleep Token. That is 1,000% the only reason.
And Hosier.
Yes. Because our song is a Hosier song. So those musicians are the only reason. So it's set in modern day. And also because how many emergency situations in that DR would be solved if someone just had a damn cell phone?
Yeah. One of the Peaky DR variants that I will probably have in the future is a period DR. But yeah, I have just the one that's set in the past. I'm a history major, so I feel like that's probably not super surprising. I'm probably going to have multiple. And then the last question. Carly, it's me. How do you make your subliminals?
With love and care.
So here's the process of how I make my subliminals. The first thing I do is I set a goal for myself. Do I want to let it help with lucid dreaming, getting into the void state, shifting, mindset, reprogramming, or like things like that. Or if I've just come up with a theory, like with the every moment method, I'll incorporate that. So that's step number 1, is setting a goal. After that, researching brainwave entrainment and coming up with a pattern that supports said goal. So with lucid dreaming, delta waves with gamma bursts, but the gamma bursts have to be like a set duration in order for them to work, and they have to be a certain level compared with the delta waves. And also it takes a certain amount of time when you're listening to brainwave entrainment to reach the desired state. So I think alpha waves is like 5 to 10 minutes. Theta waves takes a little bit longer. It's like 15 to 20 minutes. And then delta waves, I can't remember, I think 15 to 20 minutes as well. So you have to like incorporate all of that into it and like make sure that everything is as long as it needs to be. And you can't jump from like alpha waves to delta waves as easy. There might be like some sort of sleep disruption and you can't go from delta waves to alpha waves unless you want to like wake up type shit. After that, I will choose solfeggio frequencies, so like healing frequencies. 963 hertz is like for your crown chakra, 528 hertz is for like transformation. So I'll find one of those that helps to support the goal. And if it goes along with the brainwaves, that's great. If it doesn't, I won't use it. And then color noise. So green noise is good if you have tinnitus. Brown noise is good for masking distractions, as is pink noise. But pink noise has a little more energy than brown noise. And then blue noise is good for relaxed awareness. So the science behind that, matching it to the goal. Ambiance, if you want to add ambiance, making sure it's at a decent level. And then the affirmations to obviously assist in said goal, to go along with each section of the brainwave entrainment, and also depending on what you're making it for. So since I make it for everybody in the shifting community, I kind of plan that there's going to be a lot of resistance. If you've been trying to shift for years, you're going to have more resistance than someone who hasn't. So affirmations spoken in a language that will easily or more easy bypass subconscious resistance. And then I have to make sure everything's at the solid level, and then you give it a fancy name. And that's how I make my subliminals. There is a lot of time, research, and effort that goes into them, and YouTube demonetizing them is my villain origin story. Patreon will be linked below this week as well. Bad shift. Crazy. I'm so tired.
Her subliminals are great, and she makes absolutely amazing ones. And I'm still waiting on the day that my name is in the title of one of those, because Beth's got one and I didn't. Why'd you just like wipe the corner of your mouth like you just got done with Tommy?
That would have been one of these. So I tried to make one for you, but then you went and got yourself fucking injured. So that's not on me.
That was January. It's June.
I know, and I've been wanting to make one with you.
I don't even know what is involved.
That is why I'm like, because you have to choose like a specific. I can make you your own personal one that's not public, and we can also make a personal one, like a public one, but I can make you one for like your specific DRs. So like, I am in Salem.
Yeah, the fuck you are, because that was a ghost. I heard that.
I don't know what that was.
Please tell me that was Worm. But yeah, I'm fucking waiting for the day that my name is in the title of the Carly's subliminals.
I'm working on it. Once I get back from the beach, we're doing that. Where are you shifting tonight?
We have to address our progress before we touch that.
Oh,
was that the last of our questions?
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody who sent in a question. We really appreciate you and all of your interest in us and our content.
Kiss you on the forehead.
Because we didn't address our progress at the beginning, right after we did our snacks. What progress have you made since Beth was here?
Before we touch on that, I was going to say I'm going to come kiss you on the forehead in your sleep, and then I remembered how I would have this happen when I was trying to shift. Anyways, what has happened? I've had a lot of weird dreams. I've astral projected a few times, like more weird shit, but not like anything crazy. I've been really confident with shifting the last like 2 nights, or maybe just last night, I don't fucking remember. I'm so tired. I'm able to easily connect again.
It's 2:22 in the morning. Angel numbers.
Make a wish. Things have been going good, but nothing crazy to report, I don't think. I can't remember. I didn't shift fully, so maybe next week.
I haven't tried to shift, but I have had several realizations. I had the realization that I just had on the pod. I had a realization from my Hogwarts DR about my sister having trouble with the moving staircases. I had a realization from my Stranger Things DR of trying to have a conversation with Eleven about what to have for dinner, and Hopper walking up behind me and like an asshole starting to play with my hair where she couldn't see it. And a conversation with Izzy in my Our Flag Means Death DR, which was out of fucking nowhere because my mom asked to listen to pirate core music in the car. And so I put on that playlist of a grand total of 11 songs. Yeah, dead ass, that's on there. And in the middle of one of those songs, I had like a sudden realization. It was the song Ship in a Bottle. And I had a realization about sitting on the deck with him and asking about like his name and like what Izzy was short for and why everybody called him Izzy. And we got into a fight about his full name, in which I found out his mother's dead, and I basically put my foot in my mouth about it, and then had the audacity to call him by his full name, and I don't know if he looked really excited and pleased after or pissed the fuck off, but I'm now going to be calling him by his full name just to be that guy.
And you also had a realization about me having a child.
I did. I had a realization about her in my PKDR. I said very, very quickly and clearly that she was going to have a little girl with Tommy. And then I had a realization of me and Arthur sitting on a couch together. I was on his right side and he was holding a baby that looked exactly like Carly, but was like 90% bald, except for a little like wish of hair on top of her head. And he was like, she looks just like me. And I'm like, no, the fuck, she does not. And he was like, well, someone's kids need to look like me because we're not going to have any kids. And I was like, and you don't want kids either. Don't act like you want kids that look like you. And he's like, well, we're not going to have kids, so someone's kids should look like me. And I'm like, no, they shouldn't. No one's kids need to look like you. I feel like I had another like small realization at some point. Did I have a realization about like, I lose track of a lot of the ones from like our private DR and my Salem DR. Like I genuinely think like every other day I have realizations that are like small things about us growing up together.
There was one about something.
There was something, I can't remember what it was. It was like, it was something about like a behavior that you had when we were kids or something. I think it was Salem. Yeah, like you really like at every turn it's always she has done something irritating since childhood. That's genuinely all of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where are you shifting tonight? Because you are shifting tonight.
I actually, you know what? I actually am. Like I am actually gonna, because I wanted to be preemptive with myself, and I have been working really, really hard all day. I have actually been working for the last like 8 or 9 hours. I've done back-to-back readings. I dealt with all my emails. I filmed 2 videos earlier today. I was filming for over an hour. And
easy white chocolate.
And I was doing a bunch of uploading. I was taking screenshots. I got a video up on my YouTube today. I was answering comments, doing all these things. And I decided to film 2 videos earlier in the day today so that I wouldn't have to film after this tonight. That way that 100% all I have to do when we get off of here is plug in my phone, have it start uploading shit onto the channel so that we can get it onto my computer, go and eat like 20 pieces of cocktail shrimp, wipe off my makeup, and then go to bed. And in honor of the motherfucker who's been haunting me for a week, I'm going to Hogwarts tonight, baby. And I am going to be using the any moment method and the wish fulfilled subliminal, because that's what I was using when I opened my eyes for the very first time.
I don't know where I'm going.
But you tied your hair up in prep?
I look like an egg.
You're exactly what I've been looking for. No one laughs at my yolks.
Where do I go, Wilwitz? I don't know where to go. Should I get my cards real quick?
Yes. I was actually about to say I could get mine, but then where the fuck am I going to put them? My crotch? Like, there's nothing in front of me.
Well, what am I going to fucking do? The same thing.
You're in front of a desk.
I'll go try and find them in the dark. Don't look at my butt. Hold on.
Please don't hurt the worm. During this intermission, while I have you trapped here before she comes back with her cards, this is the time when I tell you that if you're not already subscribed to this channel, that you should subscribe, and you should turn on the notifications bell next to the subscribe button. That way that you can be alerted every time that we upload every other Saturday with a brand new episode. And while you're down there, please also check out all of our links in the description, where you can find our other shifting content on our personal YouTube channels, Carly's Patreon, and you can find our TikToks, and you can get tarot readings from us and personal subliminals from Carly. She is absolutely worth the money. Please find all of our social media in the description below.
You don't tweet to me. Hello, who are you?
I hope that you know in the 2 videos that I filmed earlier today, I spent at least 5 minutes at the end of each video talking about how you were fucking robbed and to follow all your social media, and I'm going to be putting your social media, including your Patreon, in my description for the foreseeable future because I'll be damned if you have to get a real job in the fall.
Thank you. These 2 cards keep coming out for me, and I don't know
What are they?
Keep coming out for me. It is the 8 of Swords and the 6 of Pentacles. 6 of
I got the 8 of
Pentacles is
Swords
about balance. 8 of Swords is about, like, there's a clear way out, but you have a blindfold on. And the 6 of Pentacles is about balance.
Don't fucking do that. Jesus. You know how fucking haunting it is? And I don't know if I'm putting this on the pod, but if you know. Do you know how fucking haunting it is to just be sitting in my room alone? And then all of a sudden from about right here, to hear a man's voice go, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." And I'm like, hey. Which, by the way, though, "You Are My Sunshine" is the song that he was singing to you when I had that realization about you being asleep in my Salem DR. He was singing "You Are My Sunshine" to you, and I had to come in and interrupt you because our moms were looking for us. You need to catch up on Marvel shit because I'm telling you, Salem DR man wants you. I can't tell what the other one is.
It's Quiet Fame and Peaky.
Flip a coin.
Whoever comes out is the winner.
Take your bets in the comments as to who you think she's
The
gonna
sun.
pick and where she's going.
The
You go to
sun
my
came
DR.
out.
Right after I sang about sunshine.
I know, that's why I said that.
I think that you need to ask if your version of the Killian from my Salem DR is in your space and trying to get your attention.
I will, I just want to see this first. There's a lot of people in my space. Where do I shift tonight? I heard giggling. I don't know if the camera caught that because I don't know if that was paranormal or not.
It wasn't your kid, right? He's not awake?
No. Maybe
Did it
was
sound like a
another
child?
time. Editing will work. Let me know.
Did it sound like a
The
child?
sun came out again.
Ask if that's Salem DR Killian using that card because he was singing that song to you. Because he might not know another card to use, even though that's someone else's.
Whoa.
What?
I just got the 3 of Cups. It looks like this. It's 2 people that look very identical holding a woman's hand. They're just dressed slightly differently. This one.
So Tommy and Killian got it.
He also sang to me. And I got in my head, I sing to her too. Before I even picked the card up and flipped it around and saw what it was. Where do I go?
From here.
Next card that comes out is it. If nothing comes out, I'm just gonna sleep with like a bare
It's like
minimum
fucking
intention.
Leonard.
I tried to shift there earlier. I wouldn't be surprised. The moon.
There you go. You said it. You said the next card that comes out. And now you're a liar.
I
now she's a
cannot.
liar.
The Lovers. I can't connect to those right now though. That's why I'm like. Bad shift. Crazy.
I'll see you next time.
I'm gonna use the I'm gonna use what I've been doing recently. New method, kind of like the any moment method. Slightly.
We've been filming for almost 3 hours. This is the longest raw footage I've ever had to deal with, and I'm pissed off that I have to edit this while you're all frolicking in the fucking sand.
But guess what? It's gonna be the easiest to edit. Because we were quiet. It's just back and forth answering questions.
I love when you lie to me. Lie to me again. It makes me feel nice.
I knew this was your card before I picked it up. Your higher self is like, you dumb bitch.
My higher self is like, this is about to be the hardest week of your fucking life. I came to you and I was like, I need a day off really bad. And now we've been filming for 3 hours. Excuse me, like 2 hours and 53 minutes. Like,
I'm going to shift. Ready for this? I am going to shift. Why are Beth's people here? Oh my god. I'm gonna shift to my forbidden deer tonight.
you just said you couldn't connect to Lenny.
No, I said I couldn't connect to the moon. Or the lovers.
So you're gonna shift to Leonard.
Deer tonight. Yep.
He did come out earlier during a reading, so he was around.
He came out for me earlier too, so that's where I'm going. I feel like a crab. It's so late. It's nearly 3 a.m. I can't even shower tonight.
It's 2:35 in the morning, and we've been filming for 2 hours and 54 minutes, which means this is probably going to be an hour and 18 minutes. Actually, this is probably going to be our longest pod because we did stay on topic a lot. There is a chunk that's cancelable that we have to pull out because we were name dropping people we shouldn't be name dropping.
I love you guys. Bye.
I am again thwarted and forced into doing the outro because she's hateful. I could say anything I want right now. I'm gonna get an ant tattoo. I'm gonna pierce my feelers. I'm gonna get a gold tooth and start calling everybody dog. The B movie's on Netflix right now. I saw the ad for it. Yeah. Basically just, check out the subs. Yeah, check out all of our social media. Sub to the channel. Comment some stuff if you feel like commenting some stuff. Also, I feel the need to point out that I was alerted before you showed up into my live the other night that there are people who are subscribed to my YouTube channel that had no idea I've been regularly posting because I'm not popping up in their subscription boxes. I had no clue that was happening, which explains why my videos are getting about 300 views a piece when I have almost 5,000 subscribers. So, go find my YouTube in the description, please. And make sure you turn the post notifications on for my channel so that you know when I'm updating every Thursday. And check out all of our socials and subscribe to our channel and buy tarot readings from us and buy subliminals from Carly. And we will see you in 2 weeks with a fresh episode that we don't know the topic of yet. Don't sing in my ear. I thought you were a ghost. Okay. Love you. Bye.